Good. How about you? Heard you talking
I'm
shit.
I'm always talking shit. That's
I,
what I do.
I had to mute the stream. The music is a bit loud, but it's nice music,
Oh,
man.
I've just turned it down now. This is my old playlist. It's there's a long story behind this playlist, but the long and the short of it is, it's like I've had it since I was about 20. It's been growing since I was downloading songs on Napster and LimeWire and email. I was making a playlist, so it's like my baby. A hard drive full of music because I'm old and I download songs.
Yeah, yeah. I remember those times. Like
Mm.
you might be one of the few players in the game who's as old as me, or even older, actually.
I think I'm probably older than you. Yeah. How old are
Yeah,
you?
I am 35, turning
Uh,
36 soon.
yeah, I'm 10 years older than you.
Holy shit!
Don't be like that.
Now you look good, man. You look good. I remember like watching your URCs back in the day. What happened? Yeah, Neffy was already commenting on your roguish good looks.
Yeah. It's my roguish charm and boyish good looks. No, I just lost weight, mate. That's all. You can't be handsome and fat. It's the two things don't exist.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
that was it, really.
I agree. No, but keep queuing. I mean, it's all good.
Mm.
I anyway only have like 2 or 3 questions I want to ask you, so you might as well queue at the same time. Hopefully, you get some pops.
Yeah, maybe. Fingers crossed. Yeah, I didn't know what format you wanted to do. Whether you wanted like I don't know. I have no idea.
Me neither, to be honest. Like I never did a live podcast, so I thought I'd just jump on here
Yeah.
and to get some pointers from you actually, because like I watched so many of the USCs back in the day, and I was
Yeah.
thinking because I kind of run out of video ideas to do. I mean, there's only so many videos you can do about DPS farming in this game. So I was thinking about doing some PvP events or something like that, maybe.
Mm.
But the only PvP event in the game that I remember that was actually good, or like a different level from the production value and so, was the one that you did. So I thought I'd just ask you a couple of questions about it, and that's pretty much it.
All right. Cool. Well, give me 30 seconds. Well, I'm gonna grab a drink then. I just got to pop here. Let me have a pee, have a drink. I'll play this game, and then we'll have a chat.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. There's lots of 30 plus in the game. 30 stone plus, maybe. But yeah, there's the game is old, right? So it kind of tracks that there'd be older players. Because like Gibbs is a good example, actually. So Gibbs, he's like 24, 25 now. But obviously he started playing the game when he was like, 15 or some shit. So if you were 20 when the game came out, you're going to be in your 30s now. Because it's an old as fuck game.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I was just talking about it with someone else. And
So
you can,
riddle me this then, Ivano. Why is it that you open with Crippling Slice?
I don't open with Crippling Slice. You should watch the guide again, I think.
I watched your game rather than the guide.
My
You kept on
game? No. Don't do what I do. Do what I say. Or what's the saying? I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not
Yeah.
English.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guide
Well,
is one.
that's
The
like,
guide is one thing. The guide is where I figure out like how it would be good to play, and then the gameplay is what actually happens at a real game, which is
you
usually
had
not the same thing.
you had an arena game where you were playing Conk, and you kept on opening with Crippling Slice, and I couldn't work out why you were doing that.
Yeah, me neither. Like I would need to watch that back. But I guess it's good if they cannot roll away, right? That's pretty nice.
Sure, but it's
How do you open
just
usually?
I open with AIDS injection normally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then afterwards, crippling slice and
No, so I would just do. Hold on 1 second, I'm just trying to stall you.
yeah.
Yeah, I would just do volatile substance into what's it called? Veiled Strike now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then Crippling Slice backstab.
Crippling slice backstab is also nice. Yeah, I used to do that, but I think it's actually less damage than doing it the other way around, right? Because you auto crit the.
You double auto crit.
Yeah, you get the auto crit on. No, I mean doing it my way, you get the don't die. You get the auto crit on.
So
nice grenade.
The auto crit from Crippling Slice stacks with the auto crit from the AIDS injection, tactical,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it's
yeah.
called.
Volatile strike thing. So you get a super high backstab for like 150k.
Yes, so it might be a lower overall amount, but it is like much more burst.
But I think the problem with that is that, you know, if you have opponents with a brain, then they can just pop a defensive cooldown, right? And you need like four global cooldowns until you get any damage.
They kind of do that anyway, though, right? It doesn't really matter how you do it.
Yeah, I like to do it a bit faster, right? When that's like the one reason is just to do the burst faster. So you do like whatever, you don't get 150k damage, but maybe you get like 100k from your volatile substance plus whatever Whale Strike stuff. And
I guess it's one of those ones where you could do it's the non-optimum versus the optimum given the circumstances, right? So you could open the way that you do it, opening with it to get the crit out early. And then perhaps they would pop like DCDs or something to try and avoid that burst. Then you can try and then they wouldn't have those cooldowns available later on when you go for it the other way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I guess also doing it the other way, you don't actually get an auto crit on the AIDS injection, right? Like it's not guaranteed.
It's so the way that I do it, you get the auto crit on the big juicy crit is backstab.
Exactly.
But everything else auto crits as well. You still get you don't lose any auto crits.
I think volatile.
You can't lose any auto crits.
I think volatile doesn't auto crit, does it?
Volatile crits when you proc it with Veil Strike.
Oh, okay.
So the thingy-majiggy, what's it called? Tactical. Veil Strike automatically critically hits targets affected by unexploded volatile substance and triggers it immediately. Stealing this causes your next backstab to critically hit.
Yeah. Veil Strike automatically crits, but not the AIDS injection itself. That's what I mean.
Yeah, you can't get that to critically hit guaranteed though.
Well, yeah, that's why you use Crippling Slice. So if you use Crippling Slice the way I use it, then you always get that crit, right? And that's, I think, internal damage.
Because Crippling Slice is the next direct damage attack, as opposed to the AIDS injection isn't a direct damage attack. It's a dot that detonates.
Yeah,
that's why it goes off. That's why it goes on the backstab.
It might be a bug, but I think that's how it works. Maybe try it. I think it is how it works. At least on the dummy, at least I tried it. And then it's more damage, right? And also because it's like internal damage, so you want to have that auto crit. It's not as flashy because you don't get the super big backstab hits, but
no, I don't particularly care about the. I mean, I don't have my talent choices and my gear isn't set for that anyway.
Anyway, because I think that's how it works. I mean, I'm not the best consumer player in the world, but I usually try out those things when I do the guides.
Oh, here we go. Auto crits on substance, cripple, and veil strike. Okay. Substance, cripple, and veil strike. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it does. And I think that's a little bit more damage.
I would rather that as I think getting on laceration actually is probably more damage, right? Getting the auto crit.
Because substance hits before veil strike. Yeah.
Yeah, substance, cripple, and veil strike, and then backstab would work. I do it with the big juicy fat one because generally burst will make people shit the bed more.
Yeah, I like big juicy fat ones too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not always the best DPS. It's not always the best rotation anyway, right? Because sometimes if you open on someone and they have 50% HP, then you can actually one-shot them just by doing that one big hit. So it depends, I guess.
I'm a big fan of just like shot selection on operatives. I think it's the when I say shot selection, I like picking targets that are on like 20%, 30% health, and then like really making them shit the bed with pressure. There's just a lot of people in this game. I think really what's happened is the kind of like the hyper individualization of the game in terms of everyone going to like solo ranked and that being considered the best game mode. People became a lot more panicky about like their individual deaths and their individual performances. So you don't see as many like team sacrifice plays anymore because they know that, like, for example, right, if you're playing solo ranked, you can kite around 3 players for half the game, and then at the end of the round, someone will say, "Oh, lol, why didn't you do any damage?" And you're like, because but the reality of it is you've done that to stay alive for one, and also you freed up the game for the rest of them.
Yeah.
But people don't do that because they want to have the chunky numbers at the end. Otherwise, they get afraid that people will realize they have a micro penis. So
that's true. Yeah.
When you see people who are low and you start pushing them, and this is certainly true on Starforge, man. Playing on that server has been like somewhat of a revelation for me. People just shit the bed. As soon as you put pressure on them, they absolutely panic like fuck. So you just exploit that. as much as possible. There's 2 here. Oh man, I missed my flashbang.
Yeah, you don't run flashbang anymore.
No, I tried
it's too
running
bad
it.
not having holo traverse.
I tried it. I couldn't get any degree of success because there's so many fucking Sorks and Sages in the game now.
Yeah. You can never get 2 people at once.
Well, it's more that Sorks and Sages will permanently root and like slow you and all that kind of shit just by doing their rotation. So when you have like 20 of them in every game, basically what happened was I got kited by an S key Sork. He just S keyed the entire time in Ancient Hypergate. He was just walking backwards, and I couldn't close the gap because every time I closed the gap, he had about 14 different buttons to press to like reset the fight.
Yeah.
It's ludicrous how strong Sages are against operatives, and it's kind of terrible how weak operative mobility is now.
Yeah,
really terrible.
I mean, I played some operative recently for the guide, and it was really, really a mess. Like any lightning Sork only touches you, and you're never moving again, basically. Like fucking root on chain lightning, then the knockback, the hard stun, the fucking bubble, and you only have 4-meter attacks. I mean, eventually I figured out you can do the AIDS injection from range and then pop it with like either the rapid shot or the grenade. But still, it's like, I better don't touch Sorks unless they have no cooldowns or something. Well, that looks like Premades.
No, they're just running around getting killed. I don't. This way of playing seems really popular these days as well, where you get like a pre-made group that just runs around in a pre-made group, like killing people.
It's high five, but these are also objective enjoyers. I'm surprised.
They're not enjoying much objectives at the moment.
Yeah, I'm surprised what I'm seeing here. Is this stuff Malgus? Yeah.
Yeah. This is how I roll, baby. It's fucking Captain Objectives. Yeah, that's an example of shot selection. You pick someone who's like dying, open on them, burst them down, then go on to somebody else.
Yep.
I don't see Operative doing that much anymore either. Really, I think everyone like dictates their performance based on the scoreboards at the end of the map, and it's just not accurate at all. Because back in the 8 days, my damage wasn't particularly high, but when I went into the mid-fight, if I ever drifted from the sides, people would just start dropping really fast because I'd be picking up the last, like the 20%, 30% stragglers, just finishing them off.
Yeah, so I mean, back in the day, there was a lot more things you could do except for damage. I think nowadays they dumped down the game to a point where it's almost like a damage simulator at some point, right? Because, I mean, back in the day, you could play, like you were playing now. You could ink a turret or something, right? Or you could just like defend a turret and try to get a 1v1 with another shadow or something.
Yeah.
And then at some point, at some point, like they fucked it up and they made the stealth detection so high that now you cannot find anyone anymore. Yeah. Like, I don't understand that. That's so stupid.
I can't remember what patch there was. It's when they removed Ghost as a talent.
Yeah. Ghost and Blackout for the assassin, right?
Yeah, because I used to have to save that to try and sneak in around and detect them. Because then, this is what I always talk about with the sap dance, like where everyone has a certain rotation that they would use in terms of like sap capping, where you press one button to force them to press one button, and that's how you go through that rotation. But you just don't do that anymore, right? There's no point in doing that anymore because you can't find the stealther. So really, you just start pressing the buttons and then you just see what they do and go from there. Whereas like the reality of that is, if you are opening not in stealth, right? So they're in stealth, you aren't in stealth. They're going to CC you for a minimum of 16 seconds.
Yep.
Because that's just 2 saps. If you have a team that is paying attention, you can get someone back to another node in 16 seconds. Like if you're paying attention, quite easily. So it becomes very difficult to take the nodes. This game has always had a problem with defending is too easy.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Like back in the day with Alderaan with the speeders to the outside turrets. They removed it at some point, right? But that was so overpowered.
Yeah, early.
Yeah, very early.
That did need to change, to be fair.
That was a bit overpowered there.
Well, it made defense trivial. Because you would die, click, and you'd be back in like 3 seconds.
You remember the one in Voidstar when you could respec, so everyone defend around would respec to tank and heal.
I'm very familiar.
That was even worse. Yeah.
That's why everyone used to run the comps that had like DPS slash tank, DPS slash
Yeah,
shield.
yeah, exactly.
Just
Yeah,
respec mid-match. Yeah.
yeah,
Turtle up.
yeah. Many people probably don't know that, right? That's why Regstar is the only Warzone where you cannot change any talents now.
Is it really? I thought that was a bug.
No, that's the reason why they changed it, I think.
Because you can't change talents, but you can't respec. You can't.
Yeah, you can't
Not being able to
change.
respec makes sense, but changing talents isn't the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I always guessed that's why they did that.
That actually makes sense now. Yeah.
So you cannot pick like defensive utilities and defend around, and offensive
Although
and attack around them.
I do think that is a bug because that's the only one that it's on, and they didn't change it just for that map. It's never just been a Void Star thing. They just made it so you couldn't respec at all.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense in other game modes as well, right? You could, I don't know, in Huttball, let's say you scored a goal and now you go full defensive, but I mean, in the middle of the match anyway, you cannot respec. But I don't know, other maps.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a bug because it's only at the start. You can't respec at all, and that's the only map you can't respec in. And there's plenty of maps where you being able to. I'm pretty sure that's a bug. Interesting idea, though. Interesting idea. Kiddo666 says, pretty sure it's a bug. What a handsome opinion you have. That matches mine perfectly. What's up, Harfelt? Right. So what questions we got then, buddy? I got my beer here now. I got my Elvis juice.
Yeah, man, me too. Cheers.
Oh, Yachida. What is it in German?
Post.
Post. Really?
Yep.
Christ, I did German in school.
You did?
How do I not know this? Yeah. Ich heiße Snave. Ich bin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on 40. Ich wohne Kafili. That's about the limit of my German now.
Not bad, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Not bad.
And I know, like, was it Scheiße Kopf, you fucking shithead.
Yeah, that's pretty decent German. I think that probably gets you far enough on the Oktoberfest, to be honest.
Oh, that's all I need. Yeah, I just walk around saying my name is Snave to everyone and tell everyone I'm 45.
Yeah,
they're like this.
Average,
I'm like Groot.
Yeah, it's like average influencer behavior. No, I actually just wanted to ask you like a couple of questions about the URC because I watched your stream the other day. You were going over the old Watson stuff, so I thought let's ask you a couple of questions.
Sure. All right, fire away, buddy.
You with the professional overlays.
Well, I did have one before, which was like a web. So basically, all of my stuff, right? I haven't updated. I had a problem with my hard drive dying, and I had to remap everything, and I haven't done it properly. But I did have a screen for podcast, like this type of thing.
Yeah.
I was just seeing if I had one on here, but I don't think I do. I haven't set it up. I've just got the face chat one, which doesn't work, or face chat browser, which also doesn't work. I've got some wicked overlays, buddy. You ever seen this shit?
That's pretty cool. It even looks like the in-game UI.
Yeah, you got all that kind of shit in you. I'll just leave it on the bottom one. It's enough in my head for one day.
Yeah, leave the last one. The Imperator one was pretty cool.
I got loads of them. I got Han Solo as well. They're all in you. I got fucking the conspiracy one is my favorite. When I go on a theory about people stream sniping and throwing games, yeah, my tinfoil hat is ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah, production value. URC, yeah. So the reason that URC was successful, I think, for such a long length of time is because it's just like the way the idea behind it was not necessarily to have a tournament. It was more of a recurring event. So the whole thing started, Christ. It's actually good timing because I put a link to all of them, all of the ones that I have saved in my Discord in the URC channel now, if you want it, because they're not listed anymore on YouTube. So if you go to the pinned channel on my Discord for URC, all of them are listed there. You can look at them all.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one that I did was just a 1v1 tournament. And I'm trying to look at the date here for this video. Let me have a look. 10 years ago. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm old. Yeah, there was another player called Noodle who was like trying to give me stream advice, which was basically be more friendly, stop swearing, all that type of stuff. But when we were going through ideas, one of the ones he said, like, why don't you just do a tournament, like a 1v1 tournament? So we did a couple of those. We did like two or three of those, just tournaments. And there were a lot of problems that we had with it, just in terms of like people being fannies, people just trying to ruin things. So I was then thinking about how you would do this as a recurring event. Like how would you make that, right? So do you watch MMA at all?
Not since
No.
Dragon Ball Z.
Not anime, sorry, MMA, like UFC.
A little bit, not much.
Okay. So in the UFC, one of the things that they mention a lot is that the fighters are underpaid, and it's all done in a manner where it's about the UFC, not the fighters, right? Just things like that, which I've always found interesting, because the idea behind it is like you can do it with like WWE wrestling as well if you want. The brand is WWE. The brand isn't like The Rock. You know what I mean? That's a person in there who will, you know, make you money and get eyes on it and everything, and they're important. But that isn't the brand. That isn't what people watch. So you have a lot of disgruntled people in UFC saying like we should get paid more, it should be more about us. But yeah, it keeps on getting more and more popular because it's very, very consistent. And it's really more about Dana White and the company itself. That's the brand. So that's the idea that I had for it, where the event wouldn't be about the people taking part in it. It would be about the event. It would be about URC. That was the thing that was being promoted. It wasn't like, you know, we're going to have Cat versus Alim or whatever, right? That's something that's going to get eyes on it. But that's the consistent thing that you do then, is how you promote it and how you can kind of like put it across. You know, you put in then a bit of charisma, which is something which unfortunately is sorely lacking from the majority of events, where people are paralyzed by fear of being called cringe or being called like embarrassing themselves. And I'm not burdened with that. I don't give a shit. You can think I'm cringy. I don't care. In fact, I low key like it. I'm a big fan of dad jokes. You know what I mean? If I make you groan with a joke, that's as good as a laugh.
Yeah.
So when you have people who are doing events and they're all trying to be super professional about it, it doesn't really have any charm. And there's nothing really to praise other than the production value. That was very professional, things like that. Whereas the idea behind the URC was it was meant to be just like a Call of Duty lobby with everyone shit talking and banter and going backwards and forwards and people calling the fights. But that's what it was about, as opposed to the individual people taking part in the tournament. I've done events where people like refused to turn up, and we just had randoms doing it. There was like an American protest where they didn't turn up. And yeah, we just had like random people for the night turn up, whoever wanted to take part in it. And it was just as good as the other ones, because it was never about those people fighting. It was always about the event.
Okay, interesting.
So that's how it became a lot more sustainable than anything else. The issue with it now is, like, as time went on, the kind of mentality of players has changed a lot over the last 10 years. Whereas it used to be viewed as, you know, it was like an honor to take part in those types of things, right? We're going to be doing this on the weekend. This is the event that we're going to be taking part in. It's like an in-game event, like a time-locked in-game event. You want to be around to witness, and you want to be involved with it. But then it turned into like, well, what's in it for me? You know, what are the prizes? Are you going to pay me to turn up? Or all that kind of shit. And then
really?
it became like, yeah. There's a lot of that. And also people then, the mentality changed in the game when, you know, the more solo rank times around, well, I don't want to take part in this because if I lose, people will make fun of me.
Yeah, that's a big one, I think. Yeah.
I'll get exposed. So there was towards the end, there's plenty of people who will be like, oh, I've just seen that I'm matched up against this person, so I'm not going to take part now. I've seen the bracket for whatever, and I'm not going to take part now because I'm not going to win. So the attitude of the players became far more, we just want to win. We don't want to run any risk of embarrassment. We don't want any risk of just like doing things for fun. I don't want any kind of criticism type of stuff. So it became quite difficult towards the end to get anything going because of that attitude. A really good example of that actually is recently with, I don't know the guy's name, but he tried to do a 4v4 tournament.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, which I thought was a good idea, right? It was like a good thing that they could do. And seeing as everyone is always whining about the removal of solo ranked and the removal of team ranked, you'd expect people to want to get together and do that, right?
Yeah.
What happened is, you can go through the Discord as well, because what I just described is exactly what happened there. The prizes aren't big enough. No one cares. So the guy went off to try to get more prizes for things to take place, you know. Then I think it was like Alim signed up, like 2 teams signed up, and they were basically just fucking 2 all-star teams that were going to clearly shit over everyone, right? Then people just stopped. People just stopped signing up. we didn't want to take part in this anymore because they knew fully well they'd get fucking rolled by those teams. If they weren't going to win, they then, someone would say they were bad on Discord and they'd have a fucking mental breakdown over it. So
sure, too much ego in the PvP community. Huh?
Well, for me, right, PvP has always just been about PvP, right? You just play the game, and that's the fun. The reward of PvP is PvP. You don't need to have shiny outfits. It's nice if you get them. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about like nice rewards, but the joy of PvP is to PvP.
Yep.
Where if you aren't doing it for that reason, then why are you doing it? What's the point?
Yeah, I had a chat with someone the other day about that. Had a little bit difference of opinion. I see it exactly that way, right? There's no reward in the game that can make me play like a 13-year-old game just for having like a shiny mount. Like I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that I guess some people don't think necessarily the same way, right? Like some people might be, oh, I want whatever architect wings you have. And if I can get those from PvP, then I'm going to queue arenas, right?
Yeah, I think that that is very true. That having good rewards will incentivize participation. Absolutely. But I also think that the PvP should be because you want to PvP. Same thing as PvE. You want to progress through PvE. Of course, you get better gear, you get unlocked rewards, and those are all great things. They reward you for the behavior, and they need to be exclusive and they need to be good to drive that. But for me anyway, because I did a lot of PvE and WoW, like proper PvE, not this fucking dumb shit in this game. And for me, the reward was fucking killing the boss. Everything else was keep along with it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. The achievement just getting over the challenge, basically, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a bit like taking a job because it's got good pay. Right? It's nice, you do the job and it's got good pay, but you might fucking hate the job and you get decent money every month. You think, all right, everything's fine, but you've got to spend the majority of your life doing it. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you just do something you enjoy and you become good at it, you will get the rest anyway. Like if you're successful, you'll get some type of reward no matter what field you go into. So it's more about like the accomplishment of doing the thing as opposed to having a shiny toy that says I did the thing. Doing it is the important part, not the thing that told you. Like if I do something and no one's around to see it, I still did it. Right? That's the reward. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of like the what I want from it, not for people to recognize it. Because there's people in this game now, like the people who buy the top 3 accounts. Why are you buying a top 3 account?
Because you want other people to see you with the title and think you're good, right?
Yeah, but you haven't earned any of that. It's a bit like me just saying like I've got a 12-inch cock.
Yeah, sure. Like you're a fraud.
It doesn't mean I know that it's a lie. It doesn't change how I play the game. It doesn't change anything. It just means that I'm kind of fragile in other people's opinions. I guess maybe that's the difference, right? I've never been particularly burdened with the need to, what other people think can be dismissed or accepted depending on the person. So when it's a random person who I don't know, I don't really care what they think. That's having a title that says I'm X, Y, or Z doesn't really mean anything outside of proof that I did the thing. But for me, doing the thing is the more important part.
Mm, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think for sure, like also what happened with this tournament, I'm not really sure, but at least the thing that I read, in the end, they had somehow 8 teams and 4 of them canceled last second, right? So
right, okay.
It's a little bit probably the things that you said, right? But at least I think they had 8 teams according to the Discord, and not only 2. But yeah, still, if 4 of them cancel on the last days, there's probably some pussying out going on, I would say.
I would be willing to bet large amounts of money that people had things coming up. Oh, this came up, I'm going to do that instead because I know I'm not going to win. Because again, it's the same thing. It's like, I'm not going to get the drop from the boss, so why kill the boss?
Mm.
That's the attitude behind it. Whereas really, if you make it an event, so the appeal is you're part of the event. The rest is just whatever. So people will come then and take part because that's what they are there to do. They are there to compete, not necessarily to win. But towards the end of it with URC, it was becoming a real slog, to get people involved.
Yeah.
That's why I just stopped doing it.
How are you organizing it? Like, was it all a thing via your Discord or?
Mm. Yeah, so I did everything for it, which was a lot trickier than people fucking think. So we would advertise it on stream. We would advertise it on the forums. Discord wasn't around back in those days, so it was more just like the forums were more active. the unofficial forums, which I'm not sure if you were ever around for the unofficial Red Eclipse forums, but they were fucking brilliant. And yeah, just word of mouth, I guess. People would then sign up. They'd come into the stream to sign up, and you'd have to have a spreadsheet tracking everything. Then we'd do like the draws just before the event. So like say it started at 7 o'clock, about like 6ish, 5:30, we do the polls to see who was against who. We do that live, so there was no kind of like confusion as to, was it legit or not, no favoritism, that kind of stuff. Because I know people will complain about fucking anything.
Sure.
Yeah, and then we would go live and we'd go ahead. But yeah, the most difficult thing about it was, so I'm organizing, casting it, and trying to get everyone to take part and doing the stream side of it as well. So it's like a one-man production, yeah. So you all of the overlays you got to do, all of like the changing of scenes on OBS you've got to do, doing that whilst you got to get people in and out of the arena to take part in the actual fights themselves, and then doing the casting at the same time, doing the prizes, and it becomes a bit of a fucking. It's not easy. I put it that way.
Yeah, lots of stuff to take care of.
It is
all the guys whispering you at the same time, right?
Yeah. So yeah, getting people in and out. Yeah, I had a few where somebody else did it. I think there was one I did in America. I can't remember who it was who did it for me. But they were getting people in and out of the arena and invites and all that kind of stuff, because it wasn't my stronghold. So they had to do all that part of it, and it made it so much fucking easier for me. It was ridiculous. Like, it was so much easier. Even like doing the prizes, on top of everything else is hard, because everyone's whispering you about this and that, and you've got to do the rolls to see what they get. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work, but for not a lot of reward, quite frankly.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, because I thought if I would like to do something like this, I would also like to compete in it, right? Because simply I'm a PvPer. I would like to compete.
Yeah,
but might be very hard if at the same time you want to do commentary and you're the tournament organizer. I think it doesn't really work, actually.
Mac took part in a couple of them.
He's one of the commentators, right?
Yes, Magila, yeah, because he was a streamer as well. And generally he would like mute me and he would like play the game, and then he'd come back in. So it would just be maybe me solo commentating. But like if I wanted to compete, then it would be him doing. We could do it the other way around. It can be done. It's more that, well, first of all, I'm not great at duels anyway, so me taking part in it wasn't like a huge thing for me. I would rather just focus on what I'm doing, because taking part in it would have made it a lot more complicated for me. Like a lot more.
Yeah, so you never actually competed in your own tournaments?
I think I did a couple of times just for like fun, but not as part of the actual tournament. Like I had some duels today, like after the fact or whatever it was, but yeah, not.
Like they do in the arm wrestling. Like I sometimes watch the arm wrestling where they do like the after pulls, and after the main event, everyone is just randomly arm fighting.
I've never watched arm wrestling, but yeah, that sounds a lot like it. Yeah.
Oh, you should. It's good. Yeah. They have like massive guys from Georgia and massive guys from Russia and USA, just arm wrestling. Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it's very entertaining. I've watched some of that power slap as well. That seems to be quite similar.
Yeah, guaranteed brain damage, same as you will
not
get
really
from
my
this
thing.
game.
No. I like watching MMA, and that's about it in terms of sports.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how the URC was then started, because we did a couple of those 1v1 tournaments, and there's loads of really great feedback for it all. I had really good numbers on Twitch as well, in terms of like growing the stream. So there was a huge appeal for me in that sense to carry on doing them, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Like I liked commentating. I liked doing all that play-by-play stuff, and making noises and trying up with funny things to say and entertaining people.
Yeah,
and it was good because you had a co-host then who would be like ideally a bit different to you in their approach. So like you kind of compliment each other on how you did things, and it was just a really, really good time.
Kind of like you have a shoutcaster and some kind of more analysis-focused guy in League of Legends, for example, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's the thing is, like, with this game, and I think it's true of all video games, there's a large percentage of people, well, I say a large percentage, there's a vocal percentage of people who have a very strong opinion that if you aren't like the best player in the game, you shouldn't have any commentary on anything whatsoever, which I think is really stupid. Like it doesn't work that way. because that's also something that I had a lot of hostility about when I started streaming. Was like, why are you streaming? You're not the best operative in the game. Why is anyone watching you? You don't deserve to be watched. You get a lot of hatred because of that.
Yeah.
Because like you were putting yourself out there and you're having success, and then I don't want to say that it's jealousy or anything like that. There probably is a degree of it, but you get a lot of hostility because people think you have this undeserved crowd watching you. That was a very German thing as well, by the way. Like a load of the German players had that attitude.
Interesting.
It was, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I think the German players moving to the server was a terrible thing. And the French people, like the merging of the servers
with the server, you mean Toffen, or?
Yeah. So when you had people like Levid, Leviathan, and Tulak Horde to come across,
yeah,
it was probably like 80% bad, 20% good. And there was a lot of cultural shifts as well. Because I used to refer to them as like the German autists, right? That's not an insult to any of the autism, or whatever. They were autistic. They're like Kwani. Do you know that guy?
I don't know him, and I know the name. I never talked to him though. But I know who he is.
There was like that crowd where they all had that kind of like weird obsession with, rated and who was the best player, and it was incredibly important to them. And that kind of really fucked things because there was a lot more like, in terms of like the cheating and manipulation stuff, that was more the Frenchies, I guess. I think, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it was a lot better. I would like to vote for SWTOR exit. Get them all out.
Get them all back to the German server.
Yeah. No, but a lot of them are lovely as well, right? Like I know, like Ceres is a really easy example. He's a good player, really nice. I'm not trying to paint them all with the same brush. It's just a certain cultural, or like an attitude came with them, and I think that was overall very negative. Same thing with the American players as well, because that happened with the American streamers. Like this whole DPS farming thing. I've literally been talking about this before it even started. So I've been talking about this for the best part of a decade, because there was quite a few American streamers who would queue up in Premades and they'd lose. So what they would then do is move the goalposts. They would say, we weren't trying to win, we're just trying to farm DPS or trying to farm numbers. But they'd also lose on that front as well. And then it'd be like, oh yeah, but we're not really trying because we don't really care about the game. And then you'd slowly see their viewers, like they might stream as well, and they'd have the same, they would parrot what they'd been told by these people. That's something I've seen a lot. I think it's probably true for video games in general, but certainly for this game, is where people will repeat what other people have told them over and over and over again, and they don't really know why. It's just because they've been told it's how they should think and how they should behave. So that's what they do. There's really not that many independent thinkers, I would say, in terms of gameplay in this game.
Oof. I mean, that's a wider point, right? Not only in gameplay. It's like a real life topic as well.
Sure, yeah, it's something to be honest, I was thinking about this the other day when I was doing some stuff, and I just like, I don't know, when you're like doing things, you're just thinking stuff through in your head.
Sure.
It's what I call it the thought bot problem, right? So when I started playing World of Warcraft, back like vanilla World of Warcraft when it first came out, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with, like, do you know like Mankirk's wife?
Who?
Okay, so there's a quest in World of Warcraft where you've got to find Mankirk's wife. And it's a corpse. You got to run around and you got to find it. And it's really, really, really hard because no one knows where it is, right? Because this is back in original vanilla WoW. You don't have any add-ons really. You don't have anything on there. So whenever you went to, I can't think where it was, just outside Orgrimmar, people will be typing in, has anyone found Mankirk's wife? Where's Mankirk's wife? All this type of stuff. Now, there was a website called Thoughtbot, which was then replaced by Wowhead, where you could just look these things up and they would tell you in the game where they were. So you had that external like knowledge for it. And please bear in mind, this was back at the time where if you were playing World of Warcraft, you could buy a literal book. You would go to like the video game store Game, and they would sell physical books on how to play video games, right?
I remember that.
Yeah. So what would happen is people would find this website like Thoughtbot or whatever. They would find out where Mankirk's wife is, and it changed very quickly. It went from people trying to help each other to try and find this mob they couldn't find to, just look it up, noob. Don't you know what Thoughtbot is? It became more like insulting, like, why haven't you done this? Why haven't you looked this up? Why aren't you aware of this? Because they were then relying more heavily on external knowledge for the internal game. And really that's how video games are now, right? Because like when I'm on Twitch or when I was on Twitch, sorry, and there's like more people watching, people would come in, what stats should I go for? What's the correct build? What's my rotation? What buttons do I press in what order? A boss comes out, and you'll watch a video guide on how you beat the boss. right? And then you'll be like, oh, I can't believe this person doesn't know how to beat this boss, when you've just literally copied somebody else. You haven't done anything other than repeat what somebody else did, right? You haven't done any of that learning. I've just referred to unearned intelligence. People have this huge ego over it, where they forget all of the work that was done to give them that knowledge. And the assumption is now that everyone has that at all times. And if you don't have it, then that's your fault, and you're silly for it. They then have that kind of holier than thou attitude when they've done nothing to do it. All they've done is read something and like repeated it. They don't understand why it's that way. It's been consistently getting worse and worse and worse in video games, I find. Where everyone is like, oh, watch a streamer, watch a guide, watch a this and this. None of it is like, go and play it yourself and fuck around, right? None of it is that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't really know when that, like, why that started, but I mean, yeah, maybe it was this WoW, around this WoW thing.
It's convenience, right? Convenience always comes at a cost. So much like in World of Warcraft, where you had group finder or raid finder, is a huge benefit, right? Because you can just say, I want to do this dungeon, and then other people get linked together with you when you do the dungeon. Makes it a lot easier, which is great, right? Everyone thinks that's brilliant. But before that, what would happen is you would actually have to make friends in the game. You would have to join guilds who did things. You would be going around different areas looking for people to try and play the game with you. And that really developed the community side of the game, because you had your friends list of people who you could play with, whereas now you just don't. Not only do you not need it, it's like discouraged, right? The game makes it easier for you to not do that. So if the game is incentivizing you to just not to do any of these things, just log in, click a button, do whatever, then log off, your community is going to die because there's no need for a community.
Sure, might as well play it solo, even though it was supposed to be an MMO, I guess.
And that's really what's killed MMOs more than anything else, is the convenience and the lack of any kind of cohesion in the community. It's really devastated everything. Like, I'll use WoW as an example. I'm using WoW as an example for this because it was an earlier game. So that the things that it's like how it was before, right? Because the way that it works now, like crossover, for example, is commonplace in video games, apart from this fucking one, ironically. But when they put crossover in WoW, I was really against it for PvP, really against it, because there was plenty of people queuing, so there was no need for crossover in terms of like times. It was really active, and you were then playing against random people who you may not ever see again, which. Like, how are you going to get rivalries? How are you going to get banter with people? Do you know what I mean? How are you going to get some type of identity of the guild you're in the game when it's like that way? And that's what happened in this game when they removed 8s as well. Is that they just removed the PvP community the same time they removed the 8-man ranked.
Yeah, I was talking about that to Shintar. I'm not sure if you know her.
No.
Just before that, and yeah, basically the same thing, right? They're talking about the days of the 8v8 ranked and how guilds were basically driving the game, right? And you had big PvP guilds, which had sometimes even like multiple ranked teams. I was really shit back then, so I was trying to get on the ranked team. Wasn't good enough, so I was in the second ranked team. They actually had 2 ranked teams back then on the German server.
Yeah.
Right, and that basically, I mean, first of all, it gave you like something to aim towards, something to play for, I guess. But at the same time, you had the whole community point of it, right? Where you're like, okay, we are whatever this guild, and okay, these guys are in this guild. We have never beat them even once, but like you had a clear kind of like the us versus them identity, right? So you were trying to get better to somehow eventually maybe beat that guild once in one game or something like that.
And there was so much more to it than that. Single-handedly beat Nostrum Dollars, by the way. But yeah, there was a lot more to it than that as well, because when I was in Reality Check, I was like recruitment. I was like the HR officer in Reality Check. And you'd go into games, and I would be looking for people in games. So if someone was in a game and they played well, I'd be like, do you want to come and join us for a couple of games so we can see what you like? And then if they were good, they would join the guild. Or people would join, and they'd have like trial games to see if they were good enough to be in the guild, because people in the guild didn't want to have that guild tag associated with people who were shit.
Yeah.
Like you didn't want that. Whereas like that's now completely gone. Like no one cares anymore about any of that shit.
But the teams, that's still a thing. That's still a thing even nowadays, right? Like on some guilds, you cannot get an invite unless you're, let's say, one of the known PvPers. Like if you're like a random noob who's starting now.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I think that's like the elitist crowd.
I think that is more because they want people like them, and that's their little circle jerk culture, right? That's pretty much what it is.
Sure.
I don't think it's more. I don't think it's the same thing that I was just saying.
Is there such a guild? There's a couple of guilds. I mean, like I think back in the day, if you wanted to get to PvP, for sure there was somehow a clear path at least, right? Like you would join a guild, they would maybe do some PvP, they would do some raids, some whatever. But you could find someone to queue with, and you know, if you were good, maybe you would make it on the main team or something like that, right? And if you play the game nowadays, there's just, I mean, in terms of PvP guilds, there's maybe, how many is there left? 3 or 4 or something.
I wouldn't even call them PvP
but
guilds.
No of them are like have more than 5 to 10 members online even, right? So it's like
it was so much more than that, right? So like the setup we had in Reality Check is I think we had five teams, 5 8-man ranked teams that we could field. Not at the same time. There was like overlap between 2 or 3 of those. So I think it was like 3 teams independent. So you could have 3 Reality Check teams in the queue at the same time. And then we had an 8-man concealment team. And then there was like a hidden backs server team as well. So we had 5 separate teams.
8-man concealment team.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
I got some footage from him, man. It was amazing. He was really good. People just die in like 2 seconds.
Until you run into a tank and then no one dies, or how did that go?
This is a lot earlier, right? So tanks weren't so oppressive. It was more Maras back in those days. It wasn't a good team. It was just a fun team.
Sure. Was it back in the day when like backstab was still stunning, or like had the knockdown?
No. I missed that really. I hit level cap like the week after they removed that, so I only had it for a very small amount of time.
Yeah.
That still wasn't as broken as people think it is, by the way, at all. It was broken, don't get me wrong, but in terms of like this game's history of broken abilities, that's not the most broken. It wasn't even the most broken at the time. It's just people didn't like operatives. People have always hated operatives. But yeah, in Reality Check, you'd have the guild leader, you'd have the like officers doing different parts, but then you had like class leaders as well. So what would happen is like someone would join the guild, and then that class leader would be responsible for like getting them up to speed. So they would play games together. They'd like, you know, tell them tips, they'd tell them how to gear, all that type of stuff, and they'd teach them how to play the class. Where there's nothing like that anymore. People will just like watch a YouTube video and off you go.
Sure.
So there's no real accountability for the people in the guilds anyway. It's more like they want to just turn up and farm noobs, stack the deck in their favor, and declare themselves gods. Which, by the way, I have nothing against. It's what I've been doing on Starforge like continuously. I love Starforge. The games they're so much easier on there. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it seems like a big skill gap between like the average player on Darth Malgus and the average player on Starforge.
Honestly, I think the biggest difference is more mindset than necessarily skill, because the mindset on Darth Malgus still to a degree is like you want to win the game, whereas like on Starforge, I don't think they care. Like they've accepted that it's just farm the numbers you can farm and then declare yourself your own winner in your own competition.
They like to fight a lot more, I think. Like on Darth Malgus, it's many people like try to win the game. Well, then if they see like it doesn't work, then they just give up.
Yeah,
and they go defend somewhere, even though you know they defend the one node they have or something. But they don't come back and try to challenge mid, which is like just super annoying, especially as a damage farmer, because then it basically ruins your whole game. Maybe that's discipline.
You got to bear in mind that when you're queuing up as a pre-made damage farming, you're ruining the game for everyone else in the game.
I don't think so. Not for the other pre-mades.
It depends on how you do it, right? Because I've seen different people do it in different ways. I find this whole conversation completely retarded, to be honest with you. I genuinely do. Because if you go back to the 8-man days, the teams then would absolutely waffle stomp every fucking team in this game. The way they played, if they maintained their skill level throughout the game, the way they played was they think Nostrum Dollars is the easiest example for this because they were the most oppressive when it comes to DPS. They were a very DPS focused team, but they understood the maps and it was all done based around pressure, not DPS, which is a huge difference, which you completely missed in your video, by the way. Pressure and DPS are not the same thing, but they do lead to a similar outcome. What you want to do is force too much pressure so that you can take advantage and get the objectives.
Sure.
Whereas if you do that through pressure, like let me give you a really straightforward example of this. If I'm at mid, for example, in a fight, and there's a big group fight, and I have 3 players chasing me, and I pull all 3 players to the corner, and then I pull off a 3v1, So I kill all 3 players, and then I spend 30-second regenning, and then I get back into the fight. You'd be like, my God, what a god tier play. He just killed 3 players. He took 3 players out of the game. He's bought us all of that time without those players in there. They
Sure.
just respawn, click, and come back down. So if I'm taking 30 seconds to regen, the odds are they're back by the time I finish regenning, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I take 3 players to the off node and I kite them for 2 minutes, those players are dead. They're effectively dead because they aren't doing anything.
I mean, they're not doing anything that contributes to winning the Warzone, basically, because they're fighting somewhere. Yeah.
And they're not in the middle of, they're not in the main fight. Let's say mid. If you take like, let's take fucking Civil War, for example. So there's 3 out, there's me out. So there's a player advantage on there. Those 3 players aren't contributing to HPS or DPS. My damage is going to be pretty much 0, but those players are not in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing as if I 3v1 them. In fact, it's better because then they have to run back and I fly back in and I've got full health and I can go back to mid at the same time, roughly.
Sure. But that's not really that's not really pressure. That just means that those guys are idiots, right? Or they don't care about winning the game.
That's pressure because they aren't at mid. So the pressure is at mid. What you're doing is you're moving their numbers around so that you have a numerical advantage somewhere. I did a video called How to Count to 8, which really kind of goes over all of this.
That's too much for me. I'm a power tech main, sorry.
But that's really what you have to do, right? You want to push the player advantage you have as much as possible to get more pressure so that your DPS is effective. Sure. Killing people is a way of creating pressure. So DPS creates pressure by death, by removing them from the fight. But there's other ways you can do that. Like CC creates pressure, right? Pulling people so they don't have line of sight creates pressure. There's lots of different ways to do it, but it's people have this very one-dimensional view now that you have to do it through killing people. And in a game with like tanks and heals, like the way it is now, it doesn't work that well because people don't die. That's the kind of, whereas if you can pull them out of the fight. So if I go across to the off node, for example, and I leave mid, so we're a player down at mid, so they have a player advantage. They send 1 player back as player neutral. Now 2v1, I've got a pretty good track rate of capping nodes, so they often send another player back as well. So yes, 3 back. 3 is always the magic number in stalling. If they have that, then we have a player advantage. And also it's a smaller amount of players, which means the numerical advantage is even more significant, right? Like a 2v1 is more one-sided than the 3v4. So having less players there, they have 3 less, they have the defender. So the defender is part of that 3. So they have 5 players at mid. We have 6 players at mid. You can push that extra player advantage a lot more than if it was 7v6. You want to get it as low as you possibly can in that way. Also, if you can cap their node then as well, you create more pressure because they have to run and try and get it back. So you're more likely to get mid in that sense. Yeah. It's more about like stretching them to breaking point, like on a seesaw, rather than just trying to butt fuck someone until they die, because they just respawn and then they come back into the fight. So the other thing that Nostrum did was the pressure was based around timing to get the objectives. So you'd line up CC to try and get the actual objective gameplay. So it was DPS and pressure with a view to win via objective gameplay, which to me is how you play PvP. The fact that I have to argue that stance to me is completely retarded. It's really stupid, right? Because like if I'm doing PvE, for example, some bosses you can brute force, yeah? Like if you're out gear doing old raids, you can just brute force them.
Sure.
But most of them will have some type of like mechanic to them that you have to play the mechanic. The argument for DPS and DPS and DPS is like doing raids and ignoring the mechanics. And then when the boss wipes you going, yeah, but I was top DPS, so I'm the best. I can give you another example. If I'm playing you in chess, right, and you take most of my pieces, but I checkmate you, who's won the game? Me.
You play any chess?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
But if you then sat there and went, yeah, bro, but I took like 10 of your pieces, bro. Where's your fucking queen, bro? I'd be like, can you imagine how retarded that would sound? Like if you were watching a chess match and a person lost the chess match and then started bragging they took more pieces, you'd think they were a fucking idiot. But yeah, in this game, not only is it like commonplace, but it's encouraged.
So, I mean, yeah, maybe to give you like my point of view, right? The thing that you said about, you draw 2 players to the off node. I mean, yeah, you can do that, but what if the enemy is not, a team of fucking idiots and doesn't send 2 people to defend against you? They simply send 1 tank and you can never kill him. You cannot CC him because you don't have flashbang anymore.
Perfect. Right? Okay, that's absolutely fine. So they have 1 defender there anyway, right? So there's always 1 there.
Sure.
we'll keep
Let's just say,
using
yeah.
Civil War. Well, if they don't have a defender there, then I just cap the node, right?
Of course.
So they have to have a defender there.
Yeah.
So it's always like 1-7 would be the split. One defender, 7 at mid.
Let's just say. I mean, that's not
on both
what
sides.
at least on Hypergate, that's not what the most teams played, but let's just say it's Civil War.
Well,
Yeah.
Hypergate is an interesting one in terms of distribution because people play it completely wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easier to show the number difference in that in Civil War. So if they send a tank back, that is perfect for me, right? Because if I'm there and they have 2 players there, that's player neutral. So neither team is up nor down. It's the same as me being at mid, but they don't have a tank at mid anymore, and a tank is a priority player. Tanks are like 1+ compared to DPS, same as healers are 1+ compared to DPS.
But why?
Why? Because tanks can do damage and mitigate damage. They are overvalued compared to DPS.
Yeah, but what if damage and mitigation like doesn't matter, right? It's only about objectives. Doesn't matter who they sent in, right?
It's not only about objectives. You win the game via objectives, right? But you get the objectives through gameplay, the same way that you kill a boss by doing the mechanics and doing DPS. So what I'm trying to do is, if they send a tank over, what's up, Mickey? If they send a tank over to help defend, I'm like, num, 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 num. That's brilliant for me. I'm going to try and keep that guy there as long as possible, because him being out of mid is more significant than me being out of mid. And he's playing neutral outside of that. So it would be 6. It would be 1, what would it be for my team? 1-6-1, and it would be 6-2 for them. So it's the same amount of players at mid, but they are now down a tank. So that's one player not getting the guard. So who was getting that guard? They're not getting it anymore. They're more likely to die. That's more pressure.
So
sure. They would send a DPS normally.
Yeah, I mean, they would not send anyone. They would simply be a defender there, let's say, right? So there's like 7 enemies in mid. You're running into a defender. Let's say your team gets west, right? Now your team is outnumbered in mid, and you're losing the fight because you have less pressure in mid, right? Which is usually what happens in many of the games when teams decide to play these big brain west and east strategies, right?
Why would they do that? So basically, the stall at the beginning. So you're talking at the very start of the game, the stall.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, let's say your team sends, 1 guy to west to capture your node. 6 players to mid, and you're going to stall on east, let's say. And the enemy is just playing 7-1.
Yeah.
Right. And now you basically just created a, I mean, maybe you can stall on the off node, let's say.
Yeah.
Right. But in mid, you have a disadvantage now.
Okay, so I'll explain this to you in very simple ways, right? Because that's I understand what you're saying, and let me explain to you why it's stupid. So at the start of the game, in Civil War in particular, the person who caps the side node is heavily favored to win the overall game, because mid is often a stalemate. So with these comparisons, let's assume the teams are roughly comparable, right? Because if it's a situation where one team is just going to win anyway, then there's not really a point in having a discussion. Do you know what I mean? If it's like, oh, well, what if they are just much better than you? Well, there you go, you're fucked. You just lose anyway. So the idea behind it is, if you cap you a node before they cap their node, you get a point reduction. They get a point reduction before you do. So if I stall them for 1 second more than they stall us, we will likely win the game over that 1 second. It is the most important part of the game in 8 by a fucking mile. You then just got to kind of like play very defensive at mid until the numbers adjust and you rebalance, I guess. If they send 2 back, you have a player advantage and you can try and force that instead. But really, the stall at the start of Civil War is just purely because whoever caps first generally wins the map. So that's why it's important. If they don't send anyone else back and it's a 1v1, regardless of who it's been in the history of this fucking game, I will stand by my track record of pressure and off nodes against one person. Generally, what happens is they CC you, then someone runs back to assist, and then you can try and either weigh up the pros and cons of trying to sap cap them or just stall them there based on whoever it is. Because if they send back like a good player, like say they send back like a really good DPS, then I'm going to be willing to sacrifice myself to keep them there as long as possible, because them being out of mid is a bigger loss than me being out of mid.
Yeah, sure.
That's how you would weigh that up. If it's a person they've sent back who isn't that great, then maybe I'll try and push them to get breakers or get cooldowns used. There was a great example of this with a Sin in my team called Glory. It was against Rowdy in Navarre. No, was it Navarre Coast? Yeah, Navarre Coast. So Glory is defending east and Rowdy is defending west. Rowdy was a better duelist than Glory. So what Glory was doing was going over there, opening a duel up, and then he would wait, and he wasn't using any cooldowns. and he was waiting for Rowdy to use his cooldowns to kill him. And then as soon as he used them, he went over there. He didn't have cooldowns. Glory did. He then beat him, and then he capped a node. All right. So there's ways and means you can beat better, air quotes, players by using tactics and strategy. You haven't got to brute force everything. The amount of, like, again, air quotes, better players whose nodes I've capped there's a huge list of them. I've done like double and triple caps on people who are far better than myself. You just have to play it in a different way, and I think that's more of my strength, is the coordinated CC and capping and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
so yeah, you're welcome to not send anyone. You're probably going to lose the fucking node, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about the node, right? We're just going to kill everyone in mid because the skill is not equal, and you're one man down, and then your whole team is going to be dead. Then we're going to go and cap the off node. And then you're going to go back at mid and cap mid, and you're going to win the game anyway. And that's how PvP is nowadays, right?
Your argument is all, we just win because, right?
No, I mean, my argument was more it's an easier way, I think, to create pressure through damage, at least these days, because, I mean, CC is not really a thing anymore. You cannot really do, like back in the day, people were doing the chain grenade CC into like the warrior or the knight fears, and then you get to cap the node. Right, those abilities aren't in the game anymore, and they have the cooldown on the grenades now.
The example that you just gave was, well, you're a player down, so now we just cap, and then we just go and get the off node, and then we just win. But I don't understand how you can say that, because I can just say back to you, well, we just stall you at mid, and we just defend the off node.
Yeah. No, of course. Then if you want to win and you want to stall, you can just play a bunch of stealthers and tanks, and then
you don't even
then you're going to win.
My point is that the argument there is not really an argument. You're just declaring that this is what will happen when it isn't the case. Like myself on my own, I've tied up like way better teams with way better players for a very long time at mid stalling without stealth, because you get out of stealth eventually. Is that pressure, because the clock is always ticking down. That's the pressure. You put a time constraint on them. They then have to kind of split. They team up. They kind of go to shit a lot of the time. They start blaming each other. There's a lot of things that you do with it. The stall on the off node strategy is always good, because it allows you to create a great deal of pressure at the start, either through capping or through fucking up their number distribution. Mm-hmm. And again, if the argument is always going to be, well, we are just a better team, then yeah, fine, you win because you're a better team, right? Like if I'm racing against Usain Bolt, it doesn't matter what strategy I use, I'm going to fucking lose.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? I'm not saying that like CC or like number distribution and stalling is irrelevant, right? You can for sure like win more games than that, probably than through brute force pressure. But I mean, maybe I would say, with the exception of Huttball, the teams that were like on top of the ranked Warzones were the ones that had the best damage in the end, I think. Because like, what happens if the other team simply
what's the process behind that? Because like Nostrum Dolus was by far the best DPS team, and then probably Drama. Nostrum had the best win rate, I think, overall over time.
Yeah.
When we went to TOF and Reality Check had the best win rate against all of those teams. They were the only team with a positive win rate against all teams. So we won more than we lost against all teams. And we were not a DPS focused team. We were an objective focused team. There was also a Finnish guild as well. I can't remember who they were, but they did some wild tactics, and they had some good win rates as well. The way that you were describing is like the way that Drama played, which is DPS, 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 ignore everything else, DPS, DPS, DPS.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure if they played like that, but I mean, let's say DPS first, not only DPS, right? Because like in your example earlier with the stalling of the off node, if the other team simply mirrors that, but they simply have better DPS in the mid, then slowly they will out pressure you, as you say, and you will lose mid if you get pushed back. You have to use cooldowns.
Right. The argument that the better team wins, therefore be the better team, I just don't understand that as a constructive discussion point, right?
No, it depends how you define better team. That's kind of arbitrary. What I'm saying is, if your team in mid has 60k DPS and the enemy team has only 50k DPS, then your team is going to get pushed back. They're going to be stuck in respawn, right? And now you're going to have a chance to cap if you want to. And whatever happens after the off nodes, if simply both teams decide to send an operative to stall the off node, then you're going to have a stalemate there, right?
If you are facing overwhelming DPS that you cannot compete against, then you've lost regardless of your strategy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So but that's not an argument, right?
Yeah, but that's the point. DPS is the most important thing.
Okay. if you played against a team that was unbelievably coordinated in terms of objective gameplay, they would run you around the map and they would camp you continuously as you moved around.
Maybe.
So, yeah, but I don't understand how you can declare yourself a winner just by saying, because we have overwhelming DPS, we just win without any kind of basis for that. It's like, if you put me against a 12-year-old child in a karate match and they're a black belt, I'm going to beat the shit out of them, right? That's just how it is. So does that mean karate is pointless?
No, it means you're in a different weight class.
It means that the example that you've just created is not really representative of how it works, right? You're declaring yourself the winner by default before anything else is considered. Now, overwhelming DPS was from Nostrum, and they lost. We beat Nostrum through objective gameplay. Same thing with Drama. They had way better DPS than us, but they were too focused on DPS, and they lost because of objective gameplay and coordination. Like that's how you beat them. The difference that you have between the teams is obviously a very, very significant factor. Like if you have like a Premier League soccer team against, Division 3, the Premier League team is probably going to win because they're a much better team. What does that mean? It just means you played against a better team with better individuals and you are always going to lose. This isn't a constructive way of developing tactics. Just be the best is not really like conducive to how you play the game. So if you only focus on DPS and you're completely brain dead or oblivious to everything else, you will have someone who will exploit those gaps in your game and will take your lunch money from you and you'll lose the game because of it. Now, in terms of citation for that, you can literally watch any stream I've done ever where I've played against teams when I'm in pugs or whether I'm in a group where they're better than us and we've beaten them. So the difference between my argument and your argument is there's a colossal amount of evidence that I'm right. And your argument is predicated on the fact that you just win by default on spawn because you're a better team, which is fine and is correct. If you queue up in a heavy DPS pre-made, you will win by just bullying everyone. Well done. That's the same as me walking into a 12-year-old's dojo and start fucking kicking people in the face. I don't understand how that is like a strategy.
I mean, not really. I mean, it's just that if you're a good DPS player, then you have the option to also play objectives, right? Like I have the option to also go to an off node.
Yeah. And you do. And the reverse is true, right?
And fight on the off node. Not really, because everyone can right click a turret, right? And not everyone can do a good DPS. So the point is kind of
that's very silly.
So the first thing is kind of like first learn to
let's pause for a second then, because this is something I hear a lot. When it comes to objective gameplay, people are like, oh, you just stand there and you just click the door, right? That's all you do. What's objective about clicking the door? And don't get me wrong, some people do that. There's a guy on this server, actually, Shock the Doc, who is like famous for just standing there clicking the door until he dies. I get it. That's not what I'm saying with objective gameplay at all. In terms of objective gameplay, what you're looking to do is weigh up, do you have 8 seconds or 6 seconds? Do you have that window in order to click the fucking objective? Is this someone else who's able to CC you? Are you creating those spaces in time? Maybe to do with line of sight or with coordinated CC or uncoordinated CC, where you can get that window of success. Now, that's objective gameplay, not just standing there clicking the door.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that was a thing that you used to be able to do, and nowadays you don't even have CCs anymore, right?
You can take it. You can still take the CC if you want to. I have run flashbang. It's just on Darth Malgus, there's so many sorks at the moment. It's just the game just isn't playable, basically. You can't not have hollow traverse because you just get routed continuously to that knockback, which seems to have a...
Yeah, you're basically not going to be able to fight anymore, right?
Yeah, So that's a huge issue just for that alone. If that wasn't an issue, I would still take flashbang.
Yeah, I mean, so you're kind of agreeing with me, right? It's more important that you have like combat ability, that you're able to fight or escape or something, than your CC for objectives.
You have to be able to do something. The same way that you have to be logged into the game. Right. If I'm not CC'd, then I can do things like press buttons. If I'm CC'd, I can't press things. I can't do buttons. So yeah, that is important, but that has nothing to do with DPS versus objective play. It's more about what is your priority. I always call it ABC, right? ABC, always be camping. Everything you do should be with a view to click the turret for 8 seconds and get the turret. So whether that's pushing someone so they're further away, so a person who's near to the node might think, I've got a little window here to click this and take the node. Because it's easier to do that, it's quicker to do that than it is to kill them in a lot of cases. And it doesn't mean that you can kill them, because they may get help back in the time that they are being killed or being taken down. In all of your examples, you were stacking everything so much onto your point. There's no downside to any of your things. You're just basically saying we win because we do this. and there's no consideration to how that affects other areas of the game. Whereas with my one, I'm saying we do exactly what you were doing. We focus on DPS, we focus on targets, we focus on killing people, we focus on like guard swapping and keeping people alive, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But our objective isn't to kill as many people as possible. It's to create pressure so you get that window to pull off the objective gameplay, whatever that is on the map, whether it's clicking a door or grabbing a ball, whatever it may be. This idea that is either or seems to permeate everyone, and everyone always says the same fucking example. Like, clicking the door is really hard. It's like, it's not about clicking the door. It's about everything happens prior to that 8 seconds. That's the objective gameplay. Like, if I go to an off node and there's 3 defenders, I'm not going to be able to kill the 3 defenders, most likely. Right. So what are my options here? I can keep them there for as long as I can, so we get a player advantage, or I can try and cluster them up and I can try and CC camp them, which I've done a fucking multitude of times. So there's different ways that you can create pressure outside of DPS. The view is the pressure that you're creating should be like, across the board. You should spread them thin, and then you should like punch through their weakest point.
Mm-hmm.
If the way that I do that is by dragging players to the side or by taking advantage of the players they have on the side in terms of off-node gameplay. So if I do that, then I cap the node. If I don't do that, I tie up more players than I'm losing, and my team would have a greater chance of success at mid. If you just want to declare that, well, the other team is better at mid, so they're going to win, there's no real conversation to be had, because you're just saying, because I said so, they win. That's not a conversation, right? That's not discussing things. That's just you declaring yourself the winner for arbitrary means. The other issue, and Shades is asking this as well, what happens if you come across a team that does more DPS than you? Do you just lose?
What do you mean? Even though we're on a numbers advantage, then that's kind of the point, right? Like what I see a lot like nowadays is that you have a lot of, let's say, like you have huge DPS gaps in the teams when you're queuing, right? So
not to interrupt you too much here, just to jump in for 1 second.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of a difference in the approach that we are having in this conversation, because your mentality is based around you playing the game at the moment in a group with lots of DPS and having lots of success through that particular method, which is completely correct, and I agree with you. What I'm saying is, if you strip away, you're not playing the game right now, we're just talking about it conceptually.
Mm-hmm.
The teams are fairly balanced. My team is equal-ish to your team. So what strategies are you going to use to maximize your approach to the game? You were just saying, if the team is slightly better on DPS, then they are more likely to win, which is group fights, which is
exactly
probably correct. But the time involved with that is substantial. That's the issue with it. So winning the group fight doesn't mean you get the objective.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're thinking about it more from a theoretical, or like, let's say, ranked 8's perspective, how the game is supposed to be played.
Correct. In terms of how you play the game now, you are spot on. If you want to get a 4-man pre-made and just run through pugs, you are absolutely correct. You will win those games.
Yeah, but not only running through pugs, right? Because most of the 4-man pre-mates, they want to queue into other 4-man pre-mates, right? I mean, at least on Duff Margus, the couple of ones that I play against. Yeah, sure.
No, they don't.
Yeah, sure, of course. You have like passive aggressive streaming every day, right? And then people stream snipe them when they wanna play against them. I mean, at least speaking for myself.
For yourself, possibly, but I think the people making pre-mades to play those games are looking for easy games.
Maybe some of them. I don't know. I mean, I would say there's at least like 4 or 5 pre-mates that actually want to play against each other, right? And I mean, kind of the point where I was coming from was, let's say you have like a new player that you want to introduce to the game, right? What's the first thing you teach them about PvP? And I made a couple of videos about like how the maps work, how the objectives like on a basic level work, right? Not as detailed as what you were talking about, because I think that's probably too much if you're like a first time player. But at least basically, right? There's like 3 objectives. You want to create a numerical advantage, and then you draw the players there, and you know, better strategy is to win mid and the off node. Like, don't spread yourself too thin. Like basic strategies, right? Which like maybe work for a new player. And then the question is like, if you're a new player just getting into the game, what do you teach them to focus on, right? So you can teach them like the theoretical best strategies if both teams are equally stacked with like experienced ranked players that are on a similar DPS level. But the big thing I see is like why people are losing games is because they're doing 2k DPS and they cannot even move their character these days, right? So if you don't even have those basic skills, there's no point in trying to learn like the finer details of sep capping or like 2v3ing and stuff like that. If you cannot even break 10k DPS, right? That was kind of the point.
I completely appreciate that. Yeah, 100%. You are correct. There has to be a place where you start. So where do you start? So it depends on the class. If you're playing 8s, so we used to do this back in the 8-man rank days, yeah, because we would have those class leaders who would go through bits and pieces with people. So it would depend on what role you were looking to fulfill. So if I have an operative who says, I want to play 8, so I want to play regs, whatever the fuck it is, it doesn't really matter. What do you want to do in that map? Being good at DPS and being good at the class is a basic level that you should have. I don't think it's something that you necessarily say focus on this. It's something that you should just be doing because that's how you play the class, right? That's how you get the that's how you learn the basics, you learn the abilities, you learn everything just from doing that. So yes, I would agree that spending some time on like target dummies, working out how you do your rotation, all that stuff is incredibly important, and you should absolutely be focusing on that. That is just the price of entry type of thing, right? That's the minimum that you should be doing.
Exactly.
That isn't Warzone specific, and I just put a link in chat there for how to counter 8, which I think you should probably watch. Now, that's not a dig. I think you'd understand what I'm saying a bit more if you watch the video. Once you've got the basics down, so you know the class, you know the buttons, then you start looking into the role that you play. So let me give an example. You play PT, right?
Yes.
It's like 3 buttons is the way to go.
4 buttons, but yeah.
4 buttons, sorry. They've made it much harder these days. I used to play PT.
That's rough.
PT was such a fucking raffle class back in the day. It was me and the guy called Gab. He was called Black Olive and I was Green Olive. And we would just run in and just like one-shot people. Anyway, if you're a PT, look at the things that a PT can do and then apply them to different maps. So here's a question for you, actually. What is the strongest class in Huttball?
Ooh, I would say Sniper.
The answer is PT. PT is the best class in Huttball.
How so?
Followed by Sork. I don't even know why Sniper will be on there, to be honest with you. Sniper can grab the ball, but so can other classes. PT is the strongest because it has leap for mobility. Does it still have that translocate thing? I don't even know if that's...
Yeah, the tank has that. Can choose it,
yeah. The tank has that, yeah. And it has pull. And pull is unbelievably broken in Huttball because all you've got to do is stand by the fire pit, press pull, and you kill the person with the ball. There is very little they can do to mitigate that. Very, very little they can do to stop that from happening, especially if you have like multiples of people with pull. The same thing applies to Sorks. Sorks are good ball carriers. Sorks are mobile as fuck. They have good survivability. They have a knockback, which is great, and they have friendly pull. So they can pull people to the line when you can't leap to the line and things like that. I don't know why you would say Sniper, to be honest. I'm not even sure if Sniper would be my top 5.
I mean, Sorks don't have survivability they can use when they carry the ball, though, right? Like they cannot bubble, but they cannot face walk without losing it, so...
You don't need them to have the ball.
Don't really get that.
So if I'm at... PD tank has friendly pull, yeah. So if I'm at mid, so someone grabs the ball. Let's say a Sin grabs the ball. Sin tank is probably the best ball grabber. Schnarf, because they can do Shroud and they become immune to everything, so they can just click on the ball. They can't be in.
Yeah, I mean that's why Sniper, right? Like back in the day, I remember people were playing snipers just simply because of Entrench, because everyone would like spam the grenades when the bar would reset.
But the same thing applies to Shroud. So you got a Sin tank, for example.
Yeah, but it's like it's like 3 seconds compared to 30 seconds CC immunity.
You only need 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because it's 4 seconds after the ball is scored to respawn. So you just wait, you count to 2, you run in, and then you grab it with the immunity, so people can't stop you. You have the ball. Once you have the ball, you can then have a Sork friendly pull you out of the fight into whatever area you want to go to.
Okay.
And then they can speed off.
Unless you get carbonized through Shroud by a PT, right? Or you get like a physical knockback or something. Is that even the thing?
If the game doesn't work properly, if there's a bug, then yeah, I mean, are we really going to count bugs?
No, but Sniper is really good because you have the 3 rolls, right? Which you can just score by yourself if you get 1 pass.
Yeah.
And you can grab the ball really easily. Plus, now you have hololocate, which you can also put like in the end zone and stuff. So that's why I like snipers.
Well, we used to use snipers for ball grabbing, and they are good for ball grabbing. It's just that's pretty much it. Because as soon as I start running, they can get pulled into the fire.
Sure. I mean, you're immune when you roll, but yeah, you have a point.
When you roll.
But PT is for sure good in Huttball. I love playing PT in Huttball.
Well, everyone else is operative because roll and roll and roll, but it's you can get pulled. It's almost impossible to dodge pull if you have someone waiting to do it correctly. So PTs are the best one for that, right? So if you've got a PT and you just say, right, okay, focus on damage, 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 and I see this a lot in Huttball. We'll play against teams with 2 or 3 PTs, and what they do is they'll pull you back into them so they can try and DPS you down. Whereas the reality of it is, if that person just kind of like stood a bit by the fire pit, they could just pull you into the fire pit, you're dead, and then you have the ball, and that's what you do. That's the GG. You've stopped the goal. They can pull you off the line. You can't get from the mid to the end zone without some moments of being pulled. It's virtually impossible, I think.
I mean, you can go down to the pit, what people used to do, but you're still pullable in some cases, yeah.
Yeah. So PTs, Syntanks, Sorks, grabbing the ball is obviously very important, but other classes can do the same things in terms of CC in and around and grabbing the ball as well. You can even try to time your roll in as an operative to try and get it, which is what I used to do quite a lot in terms of Huttball, getting that. So that's something that isn't DPS related. It's map specific, and it's a little trick. It's a priority trick that you should have in that map, because that teaches you how to play. So let me give you another example with PT. If you're a PT and you're defending, if you're maximizing DPS, you're using shoulder cannon, right?
Because of course,
DPS. But you don't want to use that, because if you get CC'd, you use that for interrupts.
Sure.
So the idea of maximum DPS always being correct is just in those 2 instances demonstrably wrong, because you would not maximize your DPS because you want to save it in your back pocket because it's better on a macro level than a micro level. That's the idea behind it. The arguments that I hear about DPS are all micro arguments, whereas mine are all more macro arguments, but you obviously have to be able to play your class as well. So it's the same thing with operative. Like if I'm teaching someone operative, okay, so you're defending. Right, so someone comes to your node, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm great at duels, so I'm going to 1v1 them. Like, cool, you can absolutely do that, and if you're confident, you can do that. But what if there's another stealther there that you're not aware of, and all of a sudden that 1v1 becomes a 2v1? Well, you might be fucked then, right? Well, I can vanish and I can reset and all this kind of jazz, but the pressure's on you. You've wasted vanish, you might have wasted breaker. Those are huge cooldowns in terms of defensive gameplay. So you teach them stall in until people can come back to help, because that is generally going to be the correct play. Keep them there as long as you can until you can get someone back to assist you. Force the 2v1. They have a player there, so they are player down. One player coming back is player neutral. Off you go. So it'll be you sap them, you wait until the last second, you sap them, and then you've wasted, 16 seconds plus 6 plus 6 plus 12. So like that's 28 seconds. So they're basically there for 30 seconds minimum just through CC. Nothing to do with DPS, just by pressing sap.
Absolutely. No, for sure. Like 100% true. I mean, I guess the point is not that you need to do maximum DPS in every situation, right? The point was like, if you're a new player getting into the game, like the first thing you should do is try to do like high DPS, because otherwise everything else doesn't really matter, at least like nowadays, until you have that basic level of proficiency, right? To learn those finer points of playing.
If you gave me an operative and said, you can't teach him how to do DPS. I'm not particularly good at doing DPS anyway. My DPS isn't terrible, but it's not like the best.
Operative is like really in a rough spot anyway right now. I think
I'm honestly not that bad at DPS and operative, to be frank. I'm just kind of rough on myself as much as I can be, because I find it funny. But if I had an operative and I said, like, I'm not going to teach you anything about DPS whatsoever, I'm just going to teach you how to defend and attack nodes, that operative would be a fucking nightmare in Warzones. It wouldn't be good at mid, but they would be putting pressure on pugs left, right, and center, right? Because that is arguably a harder skill to pick up, because you can't go on a training dummy and practice that. You have to practice that in games. So what skill are you trying to develop? As a baseline, being able to play your class, absolutely correct. You do have to be able to play the class. The rest is specialized and specialized knowledge based on the war zones themselves relative to what your role is in those war zones.
Yeah, no, fully agree. I think operative anyway in mid fights is not that great unless you're, picking up like low HP targets and stuff like that, right?
That's how I play it.
Yeah, that's the only thing you can do really, I think, because like unless you may have really good setup or the enemy doesn't have sorks, it's just kind of on concealment. I mean, I'm talking about concealment, not talking about lethality, but yeah.
Well, I did this the other day actually. When was it? Like two nights ago. I was talking to someone about concealment and how it's about like picking the target more than effective DPS as opposed to DPS. If you appreciate the difference there, like me being able to burst someone down from 20%, the last 20% is more significant than taking off the first 20%. Yeah, like 100 to 80 is less than 20 to 0.
Yeah. That's actually one of the points where like, if you really want to do maximum DPS, right, then you should not kill targets, right? You should let your dots tick on them and swap to the next target and dot them up as well, right? Which is like just a really scumbag way of playing the game. I mean, you're kind of trolling at that point. But it is one of the cases where, like, if you want to do maximum DPS, you're not killing those players, which is kind of absurd in a way.
Going back into like what would you teach different classes that aren't necessarily strictly DPS orientated. So think about the classes like Merc, for example. Time your net relative to a target's health. It isn't just like down the bell end DPS that you have to worry about. So that's the kind of like the ins and outs of the specific class relative to the situation, and that's really more from experience or from people teaching you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it used to be one of the things I actually miss about playing arenas. Back in the day, in one of the first seasons, right, when everyone was playing the derp classes with like double smash marauders, and then I don't know, usually we're playing like a PT tank just to do maximum AoE, and then Rowdy and Co came along and started playing the Deception Carnage thing with the hard swap setup. Like, that was fucking glorious. That was fun. That was fun. Because I mean,
you were really good players. That's the thing with it is, this is the what I was speaking about earlier with that kind of like unearned intelligence side of things, right? Because there's people like that who will.
My sound is dying. Let me call you back quickly. Like, I get some static noise here.
No worries. Hiya.
Yeah. Now another try, maybe.
Okay.
Well, sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. Brilliant. There was a similar thing with Nostrum. So what happened was we had like a gentleman's agreement on the Red Eclipse that you wouldn't stack Smash Maras because that was the meta, right? People would field literally as many as they physically could. Mm-hmm. Because did you play the game back in those days?
I did, yeah.
So Smash did, what was it, 8 meters, 8-second cooldown.
Auto crit, AoE, 30% of your health or something, yeah.
Yes, so you would have 3 Smash Maras going off at the same time, and they would basically just global the entire fucking team. Right? So the agreement was no one's going to field, more than 1 Mara. But what this game has always had a problem with class stacking, always.
Yeah.
So that's what they did. They just swapped the sniper, and they just ran a bunch of snipers, and they were fucking obliterating everyone with fucking snipers, right? Mm-hmm. So their argument then was, look, we're so pro because it doesn't matter. You can take away the most OP spec and we can still beat you. And it's like, no, it's just a problem with class stacking. So the rule should be you don't stack classes, right? We just kind of keep a good spread across things. And then that was the agreement. And that's how we changed things across. Like that's what everyone did. Because people would just leave the game, right? That's what would happen. If they feel that team, they would just leave the game and they'd be stuck in the game for 15 minutes. They couldn't leave without losing rating.
Yep.
So there's always been an issue with things like that in the game. Sorry, I think I've wandered off on a tangent here.
No, it's all good. No, it's. I think it's the same thing nowadays, actually, right? You have players stacking snipers, madness orcs, or something like this, which just means that basically every melee, maybe except for tanks and PT, cannot really play the game anymore against those classes. Like at least assassin, marauders, and juggernauts, they just get CC'd and trained to death by all the ranged classes. At least that's my experience in the pre-mid versus pre-mid matches.
I remember my point, sorry. It was to do with that and intelligence things. So people turn up now and they repeat things that people have done in the past because they've been told to do that, and then they declare themselves the big brains of the game. Like that's the kind of issue that I have with a lot of things at the moment, is there isn't any recognition that you haven't done anything. You would just, I don't mean in terms of game accomplishments. I mean, you haven't tried anything new. You haven't sorted anything out. Yeah. And that's why I always liked team ranked. I never really played team ranked, but I prefer that as a way of playing the game compared to solo ranked, because you can really push different ideas a lot more because you're in far more control of all the variables in that particular game.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to ask you something about that actually, because I mean the wider point was kind of how do you design a 1v1 tournament, but on the team ranked thing, the thing that I thought was interesting, right, is that you, like you said, you basically can try out simply based on what is in the game right now, all the classes, all the tacticals, whatever. What is the best strategy? Like, what's the winning, let's say 4v4 comp, right? If you play the Smash Marauders, I play my not my wheelhouse, man. I really couldn't tell you the answer to that question. No. That was not the question. It was like a more general point, right? Like you could basically have a set of rules like it was in team ranked, where you can basically queue with anything, right? So you can queue with whatever you want. There were some rules like you cannot queue with two tanks and 2 healers or something, right? Because that was just be silly and boring. So yeah, I guess the developers decided to disallow that. But apart from that, you can queue up any 4 classes that you want. You can stack as many classes that you want, and we're simply going to see, your comp versus my comp. If we're all on the, let's see who's better, right? And I always wonder if you had, like, let's say 4 Korean or Chinese professional esports players play this game, what comp would they play? What would actually the best comp, right? But that's
triple PT torque heal.
Probably something with an NG sniper in there, I guess. Yeah, who knows?
I've seen so many fucking wild comps in this game. Like the dot cleave ones have always been a problem. I think it was Hatred a while ago was a real problem, because like one Hatred Sin on its own, this was Sin rather than Sork, sorry, was okay. But then once you had like 2 or 3 of them in a game, all of their dots on you at the same time were just fucking ludicrous damage. Just ludicrous damage across everyone at the same time. You just couldn't out heal it. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was in the Shadow of Revan days, I think, when everyone was playing that in ranked.
It was just oppressive.
Yeah, they had the dot spread on Death Field with 8 meters back then.
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Everyone was doing that. It was quite oppressive. That's when kind of the derp meta started. I mean, people were doing the AoE thing before then, right? And you had some teams that were playing like the hard swap setup, for which, and that was one of my points. Like, you needed some brain to set that up, right? With the CC timed at the right time, and then stun the healer so you cannot cleanse. And then other teams started running, a sorcerer DPS against that, because then you could cleanse the tank. Could cleanse the tank or the healer. So you had certain counter setups against that, but when they removed a lot of the CC, like from the classes, like in the last expansion, that kind of died. Although it was already a little bit dead, I would say, before.
I really think they've fucked everything in 7.0 in terms of PvP. Like the class pruning really just fucked every class apart from Sork, from what I can tell. Like, none of them are that fun to play anymore. Like, it's just not as fun to play as it was before.
Yeah, I mean, PT is still pretty good, but yeah, in general, I agree.
And the problem I've got with it is, like, the argument they put across was they removed a lot of CC and stuff, like roots and slows, because there was too many in the game. But they didn't really remove them. They just, like, rolled them into other abilities. Now they're just everywhere constantly, right?
It's like a passive slow on your Blazing Bolts, 70%.
It's stupid. You should just get rid of all of that shit. Like, on everything, just get rid of it all. Because it's, at the end of the day, right, it's more fun to move at full speed. If you did it so they moved faster, that would be a better way of doing it. Like, no one wants to be slowed. If they get a boost, you're like, all right, well, that's kind of shit, but at least I can still run around and do other things. Whereas if you're slowed, you're like, oh, well, I can't do things now.
Yeah, I mean, I like the slows that you had a dedicated ability for, right? So if I wanted to slow someone because I expect they were going to kite, then I had to use the global cooldown to actually use my slow ability, right?
I think Operatives in 6.0, and I'll probably get some hate for this because there was some things which were a bit overtuned. I thought they were perfect in 6.0. I thought whoever designed Operatives in 6.0 fucking nailed the fuck out of the how you play the class. I think the double hard stun was egregious. Like, the double hard stun you didn't need.
Yeah.
To be perfect. I think if you got rid of that, then there would have been a lot less complaints. But yeah, Operative had Sever Tendon, the ranged route, which honest to God, right, to this day, I still press that fucking button when people are ahead of me. I'm still like going for my fucking keybind for Sever Tendon.
Yep.
Like, removing that gutted, it caused a lot of problems. But I thought that was a perfect example. It's one button dedicated to one thing that you use in that circumstance, and that's what slows and roots and knockbacks should be. It should be just that, like a CC button. It should be just that.
Because then you can have skilled play, you can have counter play, right? I can delay my slow until you maybe waste your force speed, because I know force speed cleanses, and if I just slow you, then you just run away, and I have a cooldown on my slow or something, right? But now it doesn't really matter, because anyway I can just chain slow you because it's on a rotational ability, right? It's on my fucking, I don't know, creeping terror route.
There's no thought to it. Like, people, like, I see Sorks all the time now. They just use that AoE knockback as part of their rotation.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas that should be a specific thing you're using for a specific reason, right? That's how that should work. That's where a knockback should, like, force push on Jug.
That's my biggest fucking pet peeve with the game, when there's like a good AoE stack and someone uses like a random knockback. That's how you really ruin the day of a damage farmer, you know? And it's like it's like so random. It's like, why? It's like, think about which team has AoE pressure, right? We have a Vengeance Juggernaut, we have a Pyro PT. They are stacking.
To the choir, man. You preach to the choir on this one.
They are stacking, and they're knocking, and my healer is knocking everyone apart, right? I can lock out at that point. But
I get annoyed all the time when I'm killing someone and the Jug runs up and he helps by pushing them away.
Yeah.
I'm like, you just kept him alive. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
he's not gonna die now. It's
Yeah.
but I do love
Happens.
force push in my jug, so I can't really judge. I use it all the fucking time. It's the
Yeah.
only reason I play jug.
Force push is a good ability.
Like, I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I wish Ops had a knockback.
A knockback. I mean, I don't know what operatives really need. I think when I played it, the only thing they need was maybe be like a bit more range, because they seem so
Right. So
struggling
let
with
me
like the
give you
4 meter range, and like I said, all of the slows. I
there
mean,
is an easy fix to Operative, and it's gonna piss everyone off of me saying this. Roll should be 6 seconds. That's it. You made roll 8 seconds, right?
yeah.
So roll is our escape mechanism, our main DCD, our gap closer, like it's fucking everything. And you nerfed it from 6 to 8, right? So it's like a 33% nerf. It's a fucking huge nerf.
Yeah.
You did that at the same time you reduced mobility. We got rid of sever tendon, so you don't have that as an option. I know you can take the fucking triple in slice version of it, but you can't really take that because you're giving up too much. Right? You can't really afford to not have the guaranteed crit. So you removed Operative's legs. So we can't kite as well. We don't have as much DC. Oh, DCDs are nerfed by a huge amount. You can't close the gap, and it's very easy to kite them. Countermeasures went as well, which was another speed boost and another cleanse. So you really removed the mobility from operatives. Like I've had this discussion a few times on stream, right? It's either mercs or operatives that are the least mobile class in the game now.
Yeah,
So
it
when
might
you
be
have
mercs unless you take the rocket dart thing.
it is probably mercs to be fair, but operatives used to be the most mobile class, or one of the most mobile classes anyway. So you took away their legs and DCDs. They can't close the gap. Range classes have always been problematic, and the balance in range versus melee is always problematic in video games because range always have an advantage, especially in this game with desync and phantom GCDs. It happens far more on melee than it does on ranged. So yeah, the class is kind of gutted for that reason. And in terms of like my spec and talent, right? When I first played this game, I took every single talent that gave me mobility, every single fucking one. I took mobile, everything. And it was absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless. Because as soon as you get into a group fight, there are so many just passive slows being knocked around, passive roots, and like you cannot deal with those in a reasonable manner, even if you had like loads and loads and loads of them. So what's the fucking point in specking for mobility, right? You can't get it to work anyway. So I went into kind of like more of a kind of not a mix of it all. It's still more kind of DPS and utility focused. But you still can't close the gap. That's the issue. It's not necessarily the range, it's that you can't close the gap. So, well, it is range. It's like, I guess,
I mean, sure, it's the same thing. If you had 50-meter range, then as a PT, even if a sniper knocks you back, unless they have the extra range on the knockback, you can still simply hit them because you're in 50 meters range. So
you sleeping on rifle shot, bro? Fucking you sleeping on overload shot? No, that's the issue. I think a 6-second roll would fix concealment to a very good degree. Even 7 seconds would make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Also, I think they should really just do a sweeping change with cleanses, where cleanses should just cleanse. It doesn't matter whether it's whatever, right? You should just cleanse, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's tech or force or physical. I think that's a nice concept in theory, but it's outdated and doesn't work now. It just makes things. It makes balance disparity more significant.
Yeah, I mean, if you could cleanse yourself like from everything, I would like that. It used to be a thing in the arena, right? That, for example, an operative healer could not cleanse the whirlwind of the assassin tank. So that was sometimes why people would play the assassin tank.
I understand the idea behind it. The idea behind it was you would kind of like always have a move in meta, yeah? Because if one class was good, you'd take a different class to kind of counter that one class. Like I get it, but it's literally never worked that way. Like,
I don't even think like 9 out of 10 players nowadays would even know that works like that.
No, and that's very true. But also in situations like this right now, one of the huge issues that I have with it all is like with Sorks, for example, because there's so many of them. I can't cleanse or deal with any of those routes, slows or knockback routes. So like I'm just completely fucked. Like a knockback from a Sage is effectively like a hard stun. So what are we meant to do about that? Like how do we fix it? Make cleanses universal for all types and reduce roll to 6 seconds. That would pretty much fix operative, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good buff for operative, but especially the Sork knockback route, like it either needs to go, or I think it needs a cooldown nerf or something, because it's the shortest cooldown out of all the range class knockbacks. And I mean, it's a it's a knockback with the root backed in for like how many seconds? It's like 5 seconds or something, right?
I'm pretty sure it's either 4 or 5 seconds.
It's way too long for how short the cooldown on it is. And
it builds fuck all resolve as well, right? So it's a hard stun for the price of a knockback.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's really bad, and it goes to roll a lot. It's so weird in how it works now. I'm sure they've changed it. I swear to God, they've changed how it works. I get hit by so many knockbacks now, whereas I didn't used to get hit by them hardly ever. Just like random knockbacks will just yeet me across the map.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's up with that. But anyway, let's get back to the topic you wanted, because you want to do 1v1 tournaments. So I think really the key to it is like have a clear idea in your head as to how it's going to be, right? What is the point of watching the tournament? Is the point of watching the tournament to watch duels? Is it to like be part of an event? Is it the prizes? Is it like the cast? Is it the fame? Do you have like some type of title you can give out? You know, that type of stuff. What is one thing I wanted? There was a lot of things that I wanted to do, but it was just so difficult to do like logistically. I wanted to have like a person between games who would come in and give like, you know, like you get like an alim or whatever, you know, and you say like, oh yeah, come in and give us your opinions on the duels so far, like who's been doing well, and you get that kind of a sports broadcast type of sensation to it, right? Do you have, you know, funny little skits between things? Are you going to run adverts type of thing? Do you know what I mean? Like fake adverts for things, or are you trying to promote your guild or your YouTube channel, whatever the fuck it is? Like, what is the objective for you, and what is the objective for the tournament? Balance things as much as you possibly can and get people as engaged as you can. I'm a huge fan of shit talk, just like banter talk, you know, backwards and forwards. I think that is a massive part of PvP, or just like anything competitive. Yeah, the whole like mental warfare aspect of competing is, if you look at any sport in the world, you will find someone who is a prolific shit talker in that fucking sport, and it's part of their game, right? They try to get you out of your headspace.
Yeah. Going back to the UFC, like the Gregor McConnor thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That should be a part of it. You know, what are people saying in chat? How involved in our chat with things? Do you have any kind of like recurring memes that you want to put on there? Because we used to do like fucking, you know, little gifs and shit would pop up that people could do if someone was getting beaten up or whatever it was. So it was more interactive for people, and you would respond with chat. So like for me, that was the focus. The focus was the stream, the chat, the interaction. The fights are just going to take place. There's not really much I can do about the fights. Like you just balance them to the best of your ability. If one class is like really oppressive in duels, make adjustments around that class. You can do whatever you want. It's like your world, it's your sandbox to play in. But yeah, get that ironed out as much as in advance as you can, and just say to people like, if there's problems that you have here, voice them so that we can look to fix them. Because again, these are our rules. We can do whatever the fuck we want. You know, should we be allowed to use grenades? Because like grenades and med packs were generally banned. But should we add them in? If CC is no longer as prolific as it was previously, maybe grenades are fine now. Another one was like the out of combat regen on operatives. You know, should that be allowed? Because it kind of resets the fight, makes the fight go a lot longer. Should you ban out of combat regens? Or can you only do it once? You know, what rule set are you going to do for those types of annoying fights that go on for fucking ages? Because we had some operative fights that went on for like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And like by the end of it, I was like, oh fuck, I can't believe I played this fucking class. So shit. You know what I mean? Like, people were played very defensively because they didn't want to lose. And
I can definitely see that, yeah. It's just that makes for like a bad viewing experience, I guess. Like no one wants to watch that shit, right? Two lethality operatives. Sorry, I think my sound is dropping again a little bit. You hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I keep dropping out for some seconds. All right. Let me actually like maybe take a
good timing, because I need to go for a wee anyway.
Yeah, me too. All right. See you soon. Hello there.
Hi, yeah.
Ah, I'm back. Yeah,
How was your tea?
Enjoyable.
Good.
Relaxing. Like the only thing that's worse than German PvPers on the English server is German internet, honestly. Like I hope I can hear you now.
I hope you can hear me too.
Yeah,
I have a delightful voice.
I can see you. I had to stop the stream for a second to hopefully fix my internet. But yeah, sounds good. Anyway, we were talking about like the rules for like designing the tournament, and I looked at some of the ones you had, right? Like sometimes at the beginning of the URC you went over them. So operatives they can vanish once, but they cannot regenerate. Assassins can vanish.
And they can regenerate.
They can regenerate, okay.
Once.
Okay, because they cannot heal themselves otherwise, I guess, as opposed to operatives. Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, those rules probably came from somewhere, right? Like, someone did some strategy and it was, like, really boring or overpowered or something like that. Well, that was kind of also what I was saying earlier, right? With trying to figure out what's the best in the game is not necessarily, like, the best thing for the game, right? Because you could have two healers and 2 tanks queuing for an arena, but no one would play that shit.
Yeah. The operative and the sin one was because operatives moved into their own bracket, but then that just meant sins were the best ones then, right? So they would just win the normal bracket otherwise. So you kind of had to put them together. But then it was heavily stacked in operatives' favor. So not heavily stacked. Put it this way, I think Mac is the only sin who ever won it. Otherwise, it was always the operatives who won. So it was more about adjusting those balances to make it more fair in terms of the duel. And generally, when you were watching the duel, the issue would be that like operatives' health can go back up, Sin's health can't go back up. That was the long and the short of it. So you'd have a reset where a person would like vanish, sap, just heal up, whatever they could in those 8 seconds. And the Sin then wouldn't necessarily be able to do that as effectively. So it was more just kind of like adjusting things as you went. I can't remember. It was Cat versus somebody it was, because Cat's probably the best operative in the game. Katrinka. I don't know if you know Katrinka, like a Russian guy. But he duels very defensively. He used to drive me nuts because he'd have the kill there and he wouldn't go for it. He would like prioritize healing himself over killing the other person or putting pressure on the other person. And there was a fight that he had. He went on for so fucking long. They just kept resetting. And there was so many times where it was very clear if he pushed, he would win, but he wouldn't take the risk. So he would just like reset and restart again. He wanted like a clean win. And I was like, we can't have this all the time, because if people start copying this approach, which they might, because he's like really fucking good and he's going to probably win the whole thing, then every fight is going to last this long.
Yeah.
Like you can't have that, right? It's just not fun to watch. And like chat was fucking rioting how boring it was, that kind of shit, right? So, it's adjusting things over time, because you can't necessarily prepare yourself for everything that players are going to do. What you can do is change the rules whenever the fuck you want. Right? I can change the rules mid-fight if I want to. It's my fucking tournament. If you don't like it, don't take part.
Sure.
Right? It's not to be a fanny about it. It's just like, if it's not entertaining and if it's not going anywhere, I'm not beholden to the strategy that you've created. I don't care how clever it is. I can say, well done, that's a great strategy, but you're making a shit show of everything. So we're not doing that anymore, right? You can't do that. Ta-da.
Was there ever like a situation where you had to do that, like mid fight or mid tournament?
Yeah, I think with that particular fight, we just said like we stopped it there and we said like no more vanishes for the rest of the fight. we just did it like at that particular moment when there was a break in there. No more vanishes, no more regens.
Yeah.
And then we put that forward as a rule. But yeah, there's a lot of shit like that you've got to do that people will complain about. You are never prepared for the amount of complaints that you will get about like no matter how prepared you think you are.
Yeah, of course.
It would be like, oh, I lost because I had lag. This stronghold gives me phantom GCDs. This stronghold gives me lag. It's like, doesn't matter where you hold it, that's always going to be a problem, right? Yeah. So you try to minimize it as much as you can. And really, the Nar Shaddaa one, I don't know if you've probably seen it in the videos, right? But the Nar Shaddaa
yes.
Area is the best dueling area they did. I genuinely thought that when they put the Rishi stronghold in the game, it would be unbelievably good for PvP. Like in terms of like events and what I wanted to do, I thought it would be perfect. But they really Biowared the shit out of that, and it became like incredibly mediocre. But yeah, this arena was like about the most optimum way we could do it. So you have like people on the side who you can like leap to or intercede to. You got line of sight that you can see through, so people who are watching can see what's going on. You got the little traps in there, so you got to be careful of those when you're running around, and you can use those. Like, there's some tactics you can use with these as well. And then another line of sight in the middle. So it's fair for ranged and it's fair for melee. It's generally like really done, really nicely laid out. That's another thing you got to think about quite a lot as well, right? Because if you have an arena that favors ranged, you're going to have lots of complaints from melee characters and vice versa.
Oh yeah, of course. So
it's got to be like relative to both of them.
Yeah. Open spaces, not too much line of sight and so on.
Yeah. So,
makes sense. You ever had any like blatant cheating, like anyone using speed hacks or something like that?
Not speed hacks. No, we had people using like med packs and stuff.
Okay.
We started when it was stealth, we would like invite the stealth to the group. So I would invite one player, and then Mark would invite the other player, so that we could see their health bar. Because there's really nothing stopping you from vanishing and using the med pack.
Yeah,
Right?
of course. Yeah, sure.
So that's something that you wanted to keep an eye on. I can't think what else there was something where people were watching like buffs and things. Like chat was really good at spotting things. I think Aza was one who was really good for it as well. If people did any shenanigans, he would like point out like, oh, they pressed this button which was not allowed, whatever that. I can't even think of an example of what it would be now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean,
But
there's some things you can do, I guess, if you.
well, the thing to remember is it's recorded, right? People are live watching it, usually hundreds of people live watching it, and then it's going to be put on YouTube for people to watch as well. So if you cheat and it's visible, some fucker's going to see it, and some fucker's going to point it out, and then all of a sudden your win is like, well, you cheated to win. So
yeah, there's a gray area though, I think, because right, there might just be something about, let's say, an interaction between two classes, or about, let's say, I don't know, a bolster bug that only you know, right? Like you might be allowed to use that because it's not against the rules, but it's kind of against the spirit of the tournament, let's say, right? Of like a fair competition. So
I can't think of anything that came up like that, to be honest with you.
No? Okay.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I mean,
Outside of the operative regen chain thing, that was the biggest one that I remember. It was just a fucking nightmare. The fights went on for so long.
yeah.
If there's any URC historians in chat, it was Cat versus someone. I can't think who the fuck it was, but they were a good player as well. It went on for fucking ages. No, I can't think of what else there was. There was lots of problems with like interference from people. Like that was the main issue. Especially when we had to host it open world, which I did prefer, to be honest with you. I much preferred doing it open world because you'd have like random people just like stumbling upon a tournament, which I thought was really cool. You know what I mean? Like you're playing a video game, just wandering around. All of a sudden, there's like the best PvPers in the game altogether. You can just witness it all. But yeah, you'd have like people on mounts, like giant mounts, running into the fights, and you know, it was
of course,
it was not good at all, really.
Yeah, you're always gonna have some people like that.
Well, there's actually quite a few toggles in the game that I believe came about because of URC anyway. So like, you know, the stronghold invites, you can turn that off now. And a guild invites, you can stop them from showing up.
So someone doesn't like ping you during a game, basically, when you're in a duel.
Yeah, because what was happened was Kat mentioned it to me that whenever he was dueling, people were spamming him with stronghold invites, and there was no way to turn it off.
Of course.
So then that was patched then after that. So, you know, in all fairness, right, Bioware, I know I shit talked them a lot, and it's deserved. But I know they couldn't directly support the tournament because I'm a fucking nightmare to deal with. But they did do whatever they possibly could to help. Like they gave me codes. They did some type of like minor promotion when they could. You know, they weren't bad to me at all. Like I'd be very fair in my approach with that. I think really in their mind they were probably upset that I'm such a fucking bell end. Because if I wasn't such an idiot, like I think we probably could have done a lot of work together, you know?
Yeah, you were not one of the official content creators, were you?
No, I couldn't be an official content creator. No.
Yeah.
No, I was too
too critical.
It's more that the rules were like family friendly. Like I don't have a problem with it, right? It's not the critical side of things.
No?
A lot of the content creators go over this. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's to do with how I conduct myself. It's my fault. It's not their fault. They have a completely reasonable stance on this. Like I'm streaming for 12, 16 hours a day, drinking like 12 beers, shit talking people, swearing. You know what I mean? Like you can't endorse someone like that as a company.
Sure.
And it's not what you want to do. And if you look at anyone, there's no one like that who is really endorsed by people. And when they are, they tend to lose them, right? So I never had an issue with that at all, really. And they did what they could. They gave me codes. They were a great help in that sense, you know. So the prizes were always decent. No complaints about that whatsoever. But in terms of the content creator program, I think with a lot of those people, really what they just wanted is access. So it wasn't so much that you can't be critical. They just didn't want to be critical because they didn't want to lose access. Like nowadays, I think they're very different. That Jackie person is absolutely god awful for the community. Whatever your main tool is censorship, you aren't going to have a good community. You're just going to have a community built on exclusion.
Yeah.
And echo chambers. So she's been dog shit for this game, to be perfectly blunt. they've really always struggled with community management in this game, really, really badly. But even when other people did events, they never really pushed those either, you know. And there was nothing stopping like other ones from doing it, like SWTOR, for example. This is using an example because he's the most famous one, I guess, right? She could do these events if she wanted to, and they would back it and they would push it and they would endorse it, and there's nothing stopping them saying to her like, why don't you do this? It's just they have never bothered developing the community in this game at all. They're goddamn terrible at it. And that's with me being very balanced and saying that they were more than polite to me, more than nice with me. They pulled my interview actually when I was going to do a PvP interview, and when I got banned, they pulled it because I was banned, which I thought was a bit of a dick move because I was still streaming. But understandable, right? I could understand why they did it. So no major gripes about that one.
Sure.
Avira did it then instead, which was certainly an experience.
But you were one of the official class representatives, right? Like for
I was,
operatives.
yes. I'm the fucking operative class rep, buddy. Don't ever fucking forget it.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, like talk about the community management they did. I think that was at least in theory a good idea, right? What they really made out of it, I don't know. But I wanted to ask a little bit about your experience with that. Like, did they actually listen to your feedback? Like, how was it? How can I imagine it?
I always refer to it as pulling a Bioware. You're doing a Bioware. You get a really good idea, but you do it terribly. Like that, they do that so consistently in this game. They've had so many good ideas that have just been executed terribly. The class rep one is a prime example of that. So the original thing with it was, because I wasn't the original class rep. Do you know this? Do you know the story?
No, not really.
No? Okay. So back in those days, I was still streaming and all that kind of jazz. And the class reps were mainly American because what happened was there was a group of players, like, I don't know if you remember Godaz, he used to stream a bit as well, but he was the Mara class rep.
Yeah.
And essentially it was like a voting, it was like a popularity contest, right?
Yes, yeah.
Now, he had a lot of credits in the game. So he would go on the fleet and he would say to people, like, if you vote for me, I will give you credits. And that's what they did, right? They kind of like
the American way.
Yeah, and that's not across the board, by the way. I'm not saying that everyone did that.
Sure.
I'm just saying that a lot of them did that. So it was a guy, I can't even remember his fucking name, to be honest with you, who was the operative class rep. I generally can't remember his name, I'm sorry. But basically, he was the class rep through the votes. I know he did it that way because he was friends with Godaz, and that's not a conspiracy theory. That's something we had a conversation about. But he stopped playing the game. So there wasn't an operative class rep.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking about this. I just thought, well, why would I want to be voted in as the class rep anyway? I should just take it, right? Like that's what you do. If you want it, you conquer it, you take it. So I just declared myself the operative class rep. I went into the thread and I was like, I'm going to take over this. What questions you want? Yada, yada, yada. And then because I was relatively well known, people were like, oh yeah, this will be fine. And also because, my approach was a lot more challenging, should we say, than some of the others. I was happy to like ruffle the feathers to raise the points. It got a lot of momentum then. Ironically, do you remember SWTOR Miner? The
data mining guy. Sure.
Yeah, so he was literally going to do the same thing about an hour after me. He went into the thread to declare himself the class rep, and I've already done it. I beat him by like an hour. So we had a good joke about that as well.
Nice.
Yeah, actually, there's a gun in the game named after him as well.
Oh, really?
Is it the Akon Woki or something it's called? Where is it? It's a pistol. I'm sure it's the Akon something. Yeah. The Acheon Blaster. His character was called Acheon something.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that would be a cool thing they could do, right? Like personalized weapons as rewards.
Oh, dude, I said for fucking years in terms of like ranked rewards, you could do things that were minimal effort that would have such a huge appeal, right? So like you see the area of the fleet here, the Grada with the PvP area. Whoever's the top three, you could actually not. Here's probably not the best place, right? So the class trainers, whatever the fuck they are these days.
Yeah, sure, not really needed.
Nothing stopping you putting like you can copy and paste my character, but make it like a statue, and you can put that up there for a season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that.
Not hardly any effort. The character's already there. You just gonna like change it slightly and put it on there, or make it the fucking trainer. Change the name and whatever it is to the trainer for the duration of the season.
Yeah,
I
very
did
cool.
a really good podcast actually. I think it was Shaq. Fuck, who was it? Kreia was on there. I think Junkie was there as well, and Sarasi, where we were discussing like potential like seasonal rewards. BDO does that for the top players. Yeah, I agree. I think it's like the ultimate way of doing things, right? It's awesome, you know. Now you have we had all of us talking. We were talking about like seasonal rewards, and then I think Bio Chris was saying, "Oh yeah, we've got seasonal stuff coming, yada yada." The way they do the seasons is nothing like we were discussing. For us, it was more you have shorter seasons. So let's do it like with seasons of the year, right? So you have 4 seasons per year,
Hmm.
in line with like winter, autumn, blah, blah, blah. You just do like 3 month seasons, and then you just have a theme for each season. You have a tune in, you have a flair that is related to that season, and then you'd like change the colors as you go along. So like we were like really pitching low effort fucking remedies to this to make it a bit more interesting. And they were like, "Oh yeah, well the seasonal idea sounds good. You like what we have coming?" And then this fucking shit turned up. Like this seasonal thing for PvP season is dog shit. Like honest to God, it's so bad. The outfits are terrible. Let me give you the best way I can sum up these rewards. So you have the emote R. So I was quite excited about this, right? I thought, oh, we're gonna have a pirate emote. This could be pretty cool to use. And I like collecting emotes. I'm an emo boy.
It's just the text.
It's just text. It does nothing at all. They didn't even bother to copy and paste like a pre-existing one,
Yeah.
just to have something. There's literally fuck all in that. Like, how is that a reward? Do you know what I mean?
And
And
that's
it's
one of
just
the keystone rewards, isn't it? It's like it's
yeah,
pretty high up there. Is it?
it's look at these outfits as well, right? So in terms of the outfits, you've got the Radiance plate, right? So you got the Radiance one here. So this is the final one, level 30, which is this really horrible jacket with some yellow lights on it. And then you look at the one before that, a level 16, and it's the same. It's the same jacket. It's the same everything, but it's not quite as bright
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
with the lights.
Doesn't have
Like,
the LED. Yeah.
but it's not as bright. It's still there. It's the same colors. It's the same everything. It's just the lights are slightly lighter. Like, how the fuck is that a reward?
Mm, yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I understand they don't really want to put like high value outfits in those things because they lose money on the cartel market there, right? I get it. But at the same time, you got to put something in the game that you earn through PvP and or through PvE and just to make the game modes like have the incentive for people who want stuff in the
Yeah,
game.
absolutely. I mean, that's why I think actually the seasons itself was not a bad idea. I like the
Mm,
idea to like bring new players into the game. But as you said, they kind of Biowared it, right? They took an
yeah.
idea that in itself was not bad to have like
Oh,
recurring event with different themes. Maybe it's like a ninja theme, a pirate theme. Good idea, but then the implementation just kind of sucks ass.
dude, I will never forget. I often joke around on stream that I'm never wrong over time. One thing I was very wrong about, embarrassingly so, was the Rishi Stronghold. Because when they were selling the dream on the Rishi Stronghold that you can build your own arenas and things, and you can build your own custom maps, and you got a custom Huttball you can build there.
Yeah.
I was like, this is, dude, I've got a fucking Google Doc somewhere with all the ideas I had that you could do for these different events and shit. I was like, this is gonna be fucking amazing. We can do a different one every fucking week. Do you know what I mean? My idea was, like in WWE, you have like the weekly shows, but then you have like SummerSlam where
Yeah.
so it was going to be like that, right? So you have whoever's about taking part in the weekly show is just like who was watching the stream, let's get involved, let's do this. But then you organize certain events where you get good players in to like play those fucking modes that you've developed. So I was super fucking hyped. I was like, this is going to be like revolutionary in terms of player generated content, mate. I was like wanking hard over this idea. And then it turned up and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, what the fuck is this? This is all what this is terrible. And it doesn't work. Like it's buggy as fucking nothing works. I was like, I was so disappointed, dude. I was genuinely gutted. It made me quite angry with them, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I have some idea, but what are some of the bugs that you have on that one? Like I never used it for like serious, a little bit more than
Just
dueling.
the normal shit that happens in all these things. Like line of sight doesn't work. You get trapped in things. You
Yeah.
get horrible like latency issues. You get phantom GCDs continuously.
Mm.
Also, to mention something to you, because I did see this on one of your podcasts, I think it was with Cease, about Phantom GCDs.
Hmm.
I remember Cease saying something before about the things you have in your collections causing latency issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's spot on, because on Starforge, my game arguably runs better than on DM because I got nothing unlocked on there. When I came back to DM for the first time after a couple of weeks, I was like, why the fuck is my game so laggy? Straight up.
Could that be? I think he was talking about like about the preview. If you preview an outfit, that it somehow overloads your RAM or something like that.
You were talking about two different things.
Yeah,
actually.
maybe.
When you were having that conversation, I was getting a bit annoyed because you were talking about Phantom GCDs and he went off about something completely unrelated to what you were asking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, Phantom GCDs are a huge problem in this game for me. Anyway, they happen to me continuously.
Yeah,
it's so annoying.
It's a bigger deal with the 4-meter range classes, I think, because
yeah. Well, I've had instances like, and this isn't rare at all. This isn't rare in the slightest, where I will miss or I will have like 50% of my attacks just not work. The GCD gets triggered, but nothing happens.
Like, yeah, exactly.
It's a huge problem.
I think it's because basically just like on your client, it kind of looks like you're in range, right? You fire up the ability, but then on the server, basically your target is already out of range or something like this, and the attack just doesn't connect and kind of whiffs, right?
Where I'm pressing the button, and you can hear the sound, right? Because it's got a very distinctive sound to the start of it. So you'll hear it try to go off, and I'll just hear like, and then nothing will fire. Nothing will go off because they go in like they pass in through my range. Whenever Mara pops predation, basically a lot of people become unhittable for me.
Yeah, I noticed that.
They're next to me. They're not in. They're in range. I can hit them, but it just doesn't fire off at all. It's a real big problem. You have it as well with like sages with 4 speed, where I'll be spamming the shit out of debilitate, and they will literally run straight through me, and it won't fire. Like that's not physically possible, right? They have to run through my range, and I'm pressing the button. They aren't running through me in like 0.1 of a second. It should always fire off.
Yeah.
So it's a real issue with this game. But I honestly think it is this unlock stuff, because I have so much unlocked in terms of pets and mounts compared to Starforge. I just think that's what's causing the like subtle lag, so to speak.
Would be interesting to test. I mean, just make like a new account.
I'm pretty sure he tested it on the PTS. Isn't that what he was saying? It might have not been your podcast. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure
maybe.
it was ceased. But yeah, he was saying he tried it on a PTS with like a blank character without the unlocks, and it was much better. But that could also be because the PTS is dead. There's no one on there, so the game runs better anyway when there's less people on the server.
Yeah, that might be it. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't be the first thing that they did something like that, right? They had a variety of bolster bugs where you had like the starship bolster and so on.
Fucking bolster
items that you some stuff that you equip in your starship, giving you extra stats in PvP, and the naked bolster thing and so on.
I can't remember what the bolster bug was in 7.0, but there was a bolster bug, and I used it. It was, I think you didn't use a crystal or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And Jesus
actually,
Christ.
you only use the crystal, and I think an augment, and then you removed basically everything else, exactly. And depending on what crystal you used, you would get basically 10 times those stats, right? That you're supposed to get.
Operative felt fucking amazing for the first time because even though we didn't have like any of the shit that I would like, I did so much fucking damage.
Yeah,
it didn't matter. I was like, this is, if the class plays like this, I wouldn't mind it. Like, if we had that level of terrifying burst.
Look at you becoming a damage farmer.
Yeah, dude, I do like fucking playing the game. My argument has never been that damage farming isn't valid. It's like, my argument is always like, stop looking at things so one-mindedly. Like, it's not an either or. You should do both.
Sure. I think an operative you would have taken the HP one, where you have like 1 million HP. After all, you can never die.
I don't think the stats were that big of a difference, but I had crit, and I was like doing backstabs for like 160, 180k, something like that.
Yeah. You could like 2-shot people. That was fun.
It wasn't that oppressive. I wouldn't say it was like, you just roll in people left, right, and center. It was more that the damage was more in line with what I would expect from the fucking class. Like, it was too much by about 20%, right? But it wasn't terrible. The best operative bug was the heal the full one. Do you remember that?
No.
So it was the Colto probe one, where if you used countermeasures and Colto probe, it said like it consumes the stack and it does yada yada yada. But what happened was if you didn't have any stacks on you at all, and you used sure as countermeasures and then probe, it gave you all of the heals instantly.
Ah, that sounds fun.
I've got it in one of my videos actually. It's my stall of the year video where I stall everyone for like I think it's for the whole fucking game because they can't kill me because as soon as I get that separation, I just heal back up to full. It was tremendous. I wasn't convinced that was a bug, by the way, because like the way that it was worded was it consumes all stacks.
Uh-huh.
So to me, it made sense that it was working that way, but it was more the clicking things off to get it to work. I thought that's probably bugged. And this should be nerfed either way because it's obviously OP. But yeah, that was awesome for stalling. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I mean, that might have been in a part where like, I didn't play the game. I took like a longer break. But I remember there was some kind of relic that made you invincible at some point that people were using in arenas, and then we had to have some gentleman's agreement that you wouldn't use that because it would just turn the games into a store fest as well.
Were you around for the low slash bug? Where low slash had infinite range and it's repeated itself over and over again?
I think luckily, no. Luckily, I think I was also not playing the game back then. That sounds very fun, yeah.
That was tremendous times.
Yeah.
I remember playing the Navari Coast and I was just getting fucking continuously hit.
Yeah.
Fucking shit over and over and over again.
I think in 7.0 there was the bug where you could use halted offensive in Hypergate. You could be like in the tunnel below the respawn and interrupt the cap because halted offensive didn't have a range. They forgot to put the range in there. So you basically had an ability with unlimited range. So there was I think it was only on Sorcerer and not on Sage. It might have been the other way around. I don't know, it's 2 years ago. So there were some people that figured that out, and they would just click on someone trying to cap a node and interrupt them basically from the middle of the map. That was hilarious.
Well, there is still a bug in the game with lethality operatives interrupting with dots. They changed it so that dots shouldn't interrupt the cap, any dots. But one of the dots on lethality, I believe, is physical, and that interrupts caps. I never see anyone using that, and it's very abusable for stalls because you can dot someone and just run away, and they can't cap for the duration of that dot.
Yeah, I've
never see anyone using it. All right, I've just found the video as well, so I'm going to link this for stall of the year. This is just me healing to full and fucking running people around. 7 years ago, I'm level
7 years
70,
ago. Okay, yeah.
level 70, whatever patch that was.
2 stacks.
It is quite funny because one of the first comments in this video was, "Can you imagine the rage if they allowed 8-man premades?"
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, honestly. Like, I was trying to understand.
Well,
no one was asking for that.
I can give you a theory behind it, right? Because I don't actually think it's a bad idea in theory. So if you imagine you need to force PvP guilds to be a thing, right? Because the solution to premades is more premades. If you make an 8-man premade, then first of all, you can queue up as 8 men. So you can do 8v8s if you wanted to, at least theoretically. And if you encourage that, so there's an oppressive amount of premades in the queue, either you'll have premade versus premade, which is great, or you'll have people forming guilds and groups to make more premades to counter the premades in the game. Now, that hasn't happened, and I think that's more because of the general attitude towards PvP at the moment. I think really the ship has sailed for PvP in this game. It sailed when they got rid of 8-man ranked. But like, I don't think it's conceptually wrong, because how else do you encourage people to make PvP guilds? Do you know what I mean? Like, how would you get them to?
Yeah.
How do you need it? How do you make it a requirement rather than something that is nice? Because there's PvE guilds because people want to join guilds that just PvE. They do the same content. You need multiple people to do the content, right? Like they exist out of necessity rather than anything else. Whereas PvP is not that. You can solo queue, you can queue up with friends, you know, you get people together, whatever the fuck it is, but you just don't need it in the same way. Whereas like back in the day, that was the whole identity, right? Everyone queued in premades. Like if you look at the golden era of PvP in this game, there were more premades in the queue than there are now.
Like, totally.
Significantly
more.
more.
Yeah. But back then you could only queue as 4-man, except for ranked, right?
Yeah, but the argument that premades kill PvP is completely wrong. Like it's not an opinion wrong. It's just wrong, because like the best era of this game for Regs was when there were loads of premades in the queue.
Absolutely.
So how do you encourage people to make premades? I think really doing it so that you have to have any kind of chance of playing the game mode isn't necessarily the worst approach. I just think it's so hard with the player base. The problem with it is, right, if you try just one thing, you often need to supplement it with other things, so you hit that tipping point, right, where people will do it. Like you need to incentivize people a bit more rather than just kind of like bullying them into doing the pre-made side of things. If they had it where like your rewards were amplified by the amount of people in your guild, in your group, like that's another way of doing it. There's lots of different things like that you can do. You can have like guild rewards, maybe like, or guild titles based on win-loss ratios, or little objectives you have in the game. Right? There's ways you can do it in that sense, but I think the way that Bioware does things is they'll do one thing. If it doesn't immediately work, then they just stop supporting it. Like they don't follow through with everything.
Yeah, that seems to be like a tendency. Yeah, it was probably something like this. Like they had the idea of the seasons, which again I think was a good idea for new players. Maybe they were thinking like if we allow 8-man premates, you can have a guild of 8 new players queuing up together, and 8 is better than 4. So if you have 8 relatively new players, they are going to have a better chance against the 4-man premade of X-rank players, right? But of course, yeah, that doesn't really happen. You're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you queue with 8 noobs.
Well, I used to make this argument all the time with. I used to call it spreading the shit. It's like if you had a bad guild, you might not want to join in the pre-made because like the pugs you get might be better.
Yep.
Than
exactly.
the pre-made, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the point. Yeah, we played against some 8-man premates, and they were just not PvPers. So
yeah,
kind of.
And also, I think that happened a lot. Was you'd have these guilds that would queue as a pre-made. They'd obviously play against pugs and they'd win, and then they'd think they were like hot shit. They were like the best. We're amazing. We win like 60% of the games or whatever the fuck it would be. But then they'd come across like a proper team and get fucking destroyed, and then they'd blame that team like, oh, this isn't fair. This shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah.
Because really, I think now pre-mades in this game exist for a lot of reasons. Don't get me wrong. And playing with friends, having fun with friends, and all that kind of jazz. Yeah, I completely agree with that. 100,000%. But also, it's easier to win games as a pre-made.
Of course.
It's more fun because it's less frustrating, and it's always good to stack the deck in your favor. And I unashamedly do it for that reason. Like I will play with people. Like the pre-mades that I run are really not optimal at all. Like the ones I've been running on Starforge is like it's usually me and Fake Snave. I don't know if you know Fake Snave.
Yeah, he's a software engineer, I think.
Is he? Oh, he's taking a break from the game at the moment.
I don't know. No, that was a meme. Like, yeah, I think there was some memes going on about that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. We become friends, kind of, over the last couple of months. But,
you actually call him Fake Snave, huh?
Yeah, because he copied. Dude, he was so annoying before. Because I'd play against him and he was just stream sniping me continuously. Like, and when you do an objective play, it's really annoying when that happens. Lev, are you logging in? Is anyone else joining on this? We can get as many people as we can.
We're gonna make a pre-made now.
Yeah, fucking right. Let's get a healer. Let's get a tank. Let's fucking wank over our DPS.
I'm gonna go objective spec.
Objective spec DP.
Yeah, stealth scan and everything, of course. Gotta scan those assassins out.
Oh, God.
Yeah, stealth scan used to be like my favorite thing. Like scanning people after they just vanished out. I can't believe they took that. It's so annoying. Like now I have to choose between that and the overpowered range. And the overpowered range is really good.
I don't know who Din Djarin is, but I'm not inviting anybody.
We can just queue and see what happens, huh?
Yeah, why not? You can go and do DPS.
If we run
I'll come with you. I'm going to go full DPS mode as well.
Full DPS mode? Okay.
Yeah, well, fuck it. And I'm going to try out the tactical critical talent as well. Okay. I normally run tactical overdrive because I really, really fucking like tactical overdrive. Having the reset on that is so much on-demand burst. It's fucking wild.
On backstab and so on.
Yeah, so it restores stim boost, volatile substance, backstab, shield probe, and increases mastery by 20% for 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. So you can line that up so you have like double burst window. It lines up with the rotation as well, so you don't miss any like GCDs or whatever. You haven't got to wait for like Veil Strike if you do it like immediately afterwards. And you essentially do like 300k in that rotation. So if you save that for like after the first kind of minute or so of the fight where people have used cooldowns, you can do so much fucking damage to them. There's actually a clip on my channel, and it's not against the world's greatest player, right, or anything like that. Just to kind of give my normal disclaimers on this, but basically I reset, and I've got like 3 health left, and because I reset it, where are we? I'll probably just show you the clip. Will be easier. How much health? Yeah, so some guy clipped this. Let me make sure this is being shown. All right. So I have 89k health here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's mute myself. This guy is on me. He's on full health, like 400k. I'm on 46, 52. He vanishes out. So I've got fuck all health left, but I do have the reset. So 1 hard stun, do the rotation, reset, do it again, and he's dead. Like that's how much it does. You can pretty much global someone by doing the reset that way.
Nice. That's level 80, so that's recent,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
And that's on DM as well. That's not even on Starforge.
It looked funny, yeah.
So I think it's a massively underrated talent. But tactical critical will give you more consistent DPS for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a thing. You usually don't get to use it because your uptime is so shit, right? So you might as well go for the burst, I guess.
Are we in the queue?
Yeah, we are.
Why doesn't it show them?
It's not popping. Your win rate is too high, man.
My win rate is not that high.
How high is it?
76.
76. Holy shit! Mine is 53.
And arenas is 59.
59. Oh, I don't play arenas.
Okay, so
I'm 14 and 7.
Okay, mate. So what's your Warzones captain DPS wins games?
My what?
Your win rate for Warzones.
I'm at 53%.
Right. And I'm on 76.
Holy shit.
So
76 is pretty good.
Let's bury I'm on 85 on Starforge.
85. I think I'm higher on the German server though, only with damage. It depends.
German server doesn't count.
It doesn't. Yeah, but Starforge counts. Okay. We should go on Shea Whistler and see.
Dude,
but actually,
Shea Whistler, yes.
But actually, that's an interesting one because I mean, imagine if they simply had a leaderboard for the highest win rate overall.
Do you know what I mean? There's so many things you could do in this game, right? And over the years, when I've done podcasts about PvP with people, we've gone through so many things and ideas that are not high effort at all. And they've just chosen to not do any of them. I understand the whole thing of, work is hard and pressing keys is hard. I get it. It's more that if you aren't making any effort whatsoever, I feel I have the right to say that you're not making any effort.
Sure.
I don't think that's toxic or like negative. It's just like you're ignoring the fucking game mode when you have all these quick wins available. Like with to go back to that example with the seasonal things, if you had solo rank with seasons every 3 months on a rotational basis, everyone knew when the season begins and ends. You're going to get different rewards, even if they are similar. You're going to get something which is like at least decent. You're going to get a tune-in. Tune-ins are like valuable items in the game, or maybe a crystal, which is slightly different, whatever, like something which is moderately unique. Again, low effort. You're going to get people playing it a lot more, rather than participation rewards, which again are fine and they're good and they're great. And I don't dislike the whole seasonal thing as an idea, but you can do the two of them, right? You have one.
Yeah, exactly. You can have both. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I talked about it in one of the videos when they, I don't know, announced, I'm not sure if it was the PvP revamp, but a long time ago, right? That's a good idea. It's also a good idea to have the, kind of skirmish arenas, the unranked arenas that you can queue for, to kind of practice for let's say, more serious ranked mode or something, but then they removed ranked mode, right? So it's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
I'll be honest, buddy. I don't think there's a huge difference between ranked now. Like, sorry, I don't think there's much difference between arena now and solo ranked anyway. It's basically the same game mode. Because you get matched by your rating, like your invisible rating, and it should be matched by class, by role, I beg your pardon. I know it isn't a lot of the time because of population, but it's effectively the same game mode. With a few, you don't get your points and you don't get your titles and your rewards and that kind of stuff. But in terms of the games you get, I don't notice any difference between queuing arenas solo and queuing solo ranked. There's no difference to me. So I've never really cared about the rating side of things, and I think the rewards have generally been quite shit. And you can grind the rewards anyway by the end of it, right? And I played quite a lot back in those days, so I'd always get the rewards regardless. It's just like, but everyone complaining that they removed it from the game. If you wanted the game mode, you could just queue up, and it would be effectively the same. You'd be playing against the same people. You'd be having the same thing. There wouldn't be a huge material difference, but people want that fucking number next to their name.
Mm-hmm.
That's you could put that in the game as well, by the way, because you do have an invisible rating.
That's what they said, yeah.
Yeah, so you just make that visible, and then effectively you have solo ranked, right?
I mean, just for arenas, I don't see why not. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why not. I guess people don't, because then people stop queuing, right? Because as you said, they don't want to have, like, they don't want to be the one that has 800 rating or something like that. They don't want to be the worst guy on the server, basically, right?
The issue with solo ranked and the number was the amount of shenanigans people got up to and just refused to acknowledge that it went on, right? It used to drive me insane. The amount of times I would get, I'd get to like 1450 rated, and then all of a sudden I get a series of games where some person is like stuck in, or I'm getting friendly pulled across the map and that kind of shit, right? You'd have back in the old days. Also, I'm not sure we queued, buddy, because mine says can't queue rather than in the queue.
Yours says can't queue. Mine says leave queue. Let's try again.
Mine says can't queue.
Can't queue. Are we banned? Snave was queued with a group. Natosh was queued with a group.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. Never mind. Then
looks good for you. Okay, I know verse.
I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, back in the day, it was people would go across to rep side because there weren't that many rep players playing.
Yeah. And sinking queue. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You basically end up in the same thing, right? But then you say to them, "Well, you just kind of manipulate in the queue," and they'd be like.
That was the thing. Yeah, I remember there was one guild that was kind of notorious for it. They would only queue at certain times, and then it was basically a 4-man premade in solo ranked.
But like you mention it, and everyone is just like so outraged that you mentioned this. Like, oh, you're a shitter. You're just angry. It's like I'm just pointing out what's fucking going on.
No, I mean everyone knew that. Come on.
Yeah, but honest to God, man, I would be talking about this on stream, and I would get so much shit for it.
Yeah,
and I would get an unbelievable amount of shit for even accusing people of the idea of it all. When you had a class that was a tank DPS or a heal DPS, and they would like swap, depending on who was in the queue. So you'd have like a good healer, and healer's like 1+, right? So healers have to out heal DPS, otherwise they're pointless. Like I get that idea to an extent, but healers are over prioritized and tanks are over prioritized versus DPS. So having a good tank or a good healer is more significant than having a good DPS. Just how the game works in terms of maths and in terms of the role. So they'd see a bad tank in the queue, they'd swap, or they'd have someone else queue up as a tank. And they're more likely to get matched against that person, right? All that shit went on continuously. That's why there's so many people who were like notorious for getting top threes that manner. And again, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but you point it out, and they're like, "Fucking, how dare you?" It's like, just chill, man.
Yeah. I mean, it I don't know. It was never that competitive, to be honest. Like the whole solo rank thing. At least when I played it back in the day, the scene was so small. Like on the German server at some point. I mean, maybe there were like 100 players or something playing that mode, right? And then even if you're like the first of 100 players, does it really mean anything? I mean,
that's what was the guy's name? Dermoth. He was a German player. Another one of the like German autists who came over, where he would go to the German server, get a really high rating, and then transfer to Darth Malgus to get top 3.
Yeah, of course.
That's why they reset it. Like the things that they changed in the game was because people were abusing them. But
yeah, or like the last day server transfer somewhere to like a French roleplay server, and then queuing all night until someone gets top 3. I mean, these things went on to happen.
The biggest issue I think that solo ranked had was down to a lack of any type of enforcement, right? Because people would get banned and then they'd get unbanned anyway. I remember there was that one season where I think it was Aza. Aza went full autist on it. Like there's no other way to describe it. He was like logging in the night and tracking games and getting screenshots and that type of stuff of people, queue syncing and win trading. And he provided this evidence to Bioware, and they did in fact ban them and strip them of their titles. And then they immediately then they unbanned them and gave all the stuff back. because it was easier for them to do it that way.
Nice.
If you just reset the account, if you removed every single PvP reward they ever had, if you were caught doing it, people wouldn't do it. People would have stopped doing it. But there was no regulation on it whatsoever. So people just kept on doing it. All right, where are you? Let's go mid.
You want to go mid? I thought we were gonna go pylon.
Well, where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Let's play pylons here.
Okay.
Let's play pylons.
So in your mind, what is the correct strategy for this map?
Depends on the team. I mean, right now we have looks like a tank and a healer. I know they know what they're doing. And what else do we have? Floriana. Oh, we have a second healer, I think. We have 2 healers. So, I mean, we could fight in mid for sure. Bastila Shan sometimes also is a healer, but maybe, let's check. It's another healer. Holy shit. I think we have like 3 healers here.
Well, we'll do the stall or cap at the start, and then we'll go mid. Actually, we should go mid first round.
All right, I follow you.
Because the correct strat for this map is 4v4 splits.
Look, we have 2 tanks as well.
Yeah, that's always the correct strat. Because mid doesn't matter. Mid only matters if you control a pylon. So if you do splits and you don't let them control the pylon, then it doesn't matter how many kills they have. They can't win the game. So it's always 4v4 splits. This is one of those maps which, if you play the map as it's designed, great. But if you think about it, the map is redundant. Middle is completely redundant. Never go mid.
Yeah. I mean, that was the way that they played it back in the day. And you had these 20 minutes stall matches until someone capped or something. Like once to win the game.
Dude, it was so bad, right? So back in those days, I had to not use Acid Blade because like Acid Blade was a manual application back in those days. Yeah. I had to not use it so we could free up windows for CC caps. And you couldn't have a dot ticking on people. It was good times.
So that PT is a good target.
So what I like to do in maps, and you might appreciate this strategy, is at the start of the game, I look for what I call my Betty. And that is a person who is very killable. And what I then do is put a flame mark on them.
Okay.
And I tunnel them for the rest of the fucking game.
That's not a bad strategy. Oh, they have a tank as well. They have cyber hammers.
But I can't see any Betties here, unfortunately.
No? Well, they have a premade.
No.
So do we. There's a Sorg, like this target. Let's kill this guy. I know her.
This person always... This fucking one here, Zdarless.
Yeah, pulling her.
There was a fucking spate of, like, for fucking, I don't know, about 2 or 3 months, right? Where every time I was playing, they would queue up in a pre-made, and as they lost games, they would alter the pre-made to match what we were doing, and they were blatantly fucking stream sniping the entire fucking time. It was so annoying. There was one game where they re-rolled into like 4 fucking Sorks.
Kill the tank, kill the tank! Tank is down. Tank is down. Now we can kill target.
My friend, what I do, right, is if there's not a mark on it, I'm not going to hit it. So if you want something dead, just mark it. Otherwise, I'm going to go on what is marked. So this guy here, the star is a healer.
Yeah. The tank is alive again. Star is a healer. Target is a healer. Tank is not marked.
Oh wait, we haven't capped our node.
What happened?
Double capped.
Yeah, see, this is like an average game for me.
Okay. Well, they don't have any kills yet.
You think we can still win?
All right, we can 100% win. Because what you're looking at here, right, is a very, very open free start for them. Because they could go in and cap their node, they could do whatever strategy they wanted to do, because we didn't run any disruption. We did 0 disruption to them. Whereas if I go to stall them, they don't cap that. They have to send players back. You have a free time at mid, an easier time at mid, sorry, no free time. That's how it works. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the power of the stall, my friend.
Maybe we need to try that the next round.
You're in... I don't want to say you're in for a lesson here, because on this map is one of my favorite moments in SWTOR history. There was a guy called Sisters, who I can't remember whether they played Sin or Operative, but they said, I'm about to put on a defensive masterclass. And as they typed it, the node got capped. So I'm always wary of saying things like, I'm going to put on a defensive masterclass, just because I know how that fucking ends up a lot of the time.
So we killed them. What do we do now?
So I'm going to cap their node.
Okay.
And then I'm going to defend their node.
That's good.
Someone's capping our node. I don't know if it's us or them.
Should I draw them to you or should I keep them here?
It doesn't really make a difference because I'm a goalkeeper now. So
Like, it doesn't seem like they're interested in the node.
yeah, but we need someone to get our node is the problem, right? We had no one go into our node. They had no one go into their node either.
Yeah.
They have a one node advantage. We have more kills than them. So we can like get this back in increments because there's 75 per cap, right? So we got 75 points from last round, points from this round, so 3s and 4s. I can't do the maths to work that out. But they had 150 last round. Plus 75 is 225, so they had one kill. One kill so far. So we're out killing them, but we have to have a node to get the points. So it's pointless doing DPS without the objectives because you can never win.
Good point. Damage. Guard. I have a lot of guard. Holy shit.
I'm going to do the risky boy play here then and try and pick up their healers.
Oh, barrier, nice. Yeah, I'm for sure getting a lot of attention here. So maybe you can pick off the healer. I'm gonna try to get in 7-man carp. Oh shit, I got knocked. Oh, nice carp. Killing target, pulling target. Can die, can die, can die, can die. Mobility. Cannot die, I'm dying. Where's our healer?
I can't do anything about that knockback is the problem, right? He did that one knockback and I'm fucked. Now he's got guard.
Yeah, trying to help our healer, yeah? They have a lot of melee. I mean, I wish I was AoE spec.
I think we're ahead on kills again this round, though.
Let's see. This is a proper Zerg here. This is a proper Zerg.
So, if you, which is not ideal, granted, I don't even know why I used my cooldown then, it's a really bad play, can go to their pylon at the start of next round, or actually go to our pylon at the start of next round. No, I'm going to go ours, you go theirs. We just need someone going to ours and someone going to theirs.
If I go to ours, we might lose the DPS.
No,
I died, okay.
I'll go ours, that's
yeah, okay. Fine. Then I go theirs. Yeah, they actually killed me, unlucky. So, I go theirs. Let's see what happens.
Someone just needs to go theirs. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, they have one right there. There's a mercenary. What do? Do I 1v1 him?
Well, you can't do anything else, can you?
I try. Oh, there's 2v1. Fuck. Oh, that's a problem. They're globaling me.
They have a Sin tank here.
Yeah, they have a Sin and a mercenary on me. This is not good. They're killing me through Kolto. Fuck. Stalling failed. Power attacks are not good at stalling, man.
We have 2 come into ours.
Well, I cannot 1v2 them. There's no way.
That's fine. All you need to do, really, is just tie them up for a little bit of time, because we are incrementally catching up with each cap. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to win the whole fucking thing, but, shit. So I've had to break here. Ah, here we go.
The tank is rough to kill. Like, trying to help you.
No, I got a guy back, we're fine.
Too late, I'm here.
Okay, well, you can chase him, I'll defend.
Going back mid. Need some kills. Oh, what is she doing?
Yeah, so it's 2v4, 2v4-5, 3-2-3 this round. So we've closed the gap again by, what, about 20, 30 points? So next round, if it's the same thing with 1v1, we should be pretty comparable in terms of points.
I think the problem is, like, we're not having enough damage to kill them now on mid.
They have a defender, we have a defender, everyone else is mid, you're 7v7 mid.
Yeah. I think our DPS is lacking a little bit. And they also have a guard. Oh, this guy can die? Kill him. No. Doesn't die. Maybe the power attack. not dying either. The target doesn't have a barrier, so we can kill Starless.
I need to stay in
Carving 8 people. I really need guard though. Okay, I have guard, nice.
I did get quite lucky last round with my cap because I caught the guy in stealth.
Yeah, this is an interesting game because this is like both about damage and objectives here. Definitely need a cap.
Almost like that's what I've been saying for the last 10 years.
Who knew?
Alright, free cap.
I'm dying! Guard! Guard!
They have no one that they pile on.
Man, what is our tank doing?
We have too many. If you look at the mini-map, right, we are outside of mid trying to fight in. Whenever that's the case, you're going to be you're being pressured out of mid. Right?
Yep.
So this is where your strat kind of goes to shit, yeah? Because if it's only DPS, you have one tool. So when all you have is a hammer, everything you see is a nail. Whereas what we need here is a fucking screwdriver and a wrench. So can I have someone come back? Can you come back to defend for a second?
Yep. Let's kill this guy quick, okay.
No, never mind. Never mind. Go back.
They kept the other one.
Yeah, so what's the difference now? 50 points? What was it for? 4, 2, 5?
Oh,
Yeah, so we are getting closer each time. We are getting kills.
You can kill the guy.
If you want to play this map, right, in terms of a hybrid approach of deep, like, so 4-4s is the, air quotes, correct way of playing it. If you want to do it in a DPS way, you go mid, rounds 1 and 2, and just do like, make sure you cap your own, so one person capping and defending. Go mid, farm as many kills as you can, because those points then accumulate every single round. So kills in rounds 1 and 2 are substantially more significant than kills in like rounds 6 and 7. Like it's a big, huge difference.
Yeah, because you stick them up. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So that's how you want to do it ideally. But
we're killing them. We're killing them.
We should be equal next round if we can.
Yep.
The issue is that we have no one doing stalls or caps other than me, and I can't do both.
Yeah.
So I think really what you want to do next round is get here as soon as you possibly can, make sure we get the cap, and then go back to mid and I'll play goalkeeper. Because I'm guessing by these numbers we'll either be the same or slightly ahead if we do 1-1 cap next round. I think those kills in the first round are going to pay off quite massively. Because that's something I've talked about a lot actually as well, in terms of like the correct strat versus the correct one. If we did splits, or if I tried to stall them in the first round, then we could have died and they probably would have capped anyway, and we wouldn't have these like points here, So if you're going off optimum strats, then you want to do the off optimum as possible. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be as many kills as you can chunk out. I should have marked up that Sin tank as well. All right, thank you for completely ignoring my strategy.
Sorry. I might have.
There's no one here anyway, so we're all right. 5-4-1.
Wait, I'm getting tunneled by 5 men right now. I'm a little bit.
Friday.
Yeah.
What's up, Parima? How you doing, buddy?
Kind of this. Stunned again, motherfuckers.
So 2 orbs, 3 orbs would get us the win, I think. 60, 20, is it 20 points per orb now?
I'll just kill this Marauder noob here. Get us to win this way. He's struggling. He's struggling.
It's so fucking annoying that no one...
Need more damage.
I need you to drop back and defend as soon as you can.
Oh my god. Okay.
Pretty clear.
I believe in you. I have no shoulder cannon.
That's fine. It's a Sin who was going there.
I do have breaker though. I'm defending. This is the first for me.
It's only for a minute, buddy. I'm not going to look a free win in the mouth. Because this is actually quite tight. If they run back and cap this, it's quite tight and they'll go to the next round. If they develop a brain and like go to stall either way, then it'll be hard to win. Whereas if we just like tank this for the next 50 seconds, we win.
Okay, shoulder cannon is back up. Now I feel more confident.
Oops. So this is objective and DPS, yeah?
Yeah, that's a nice one, actually.
And we win. As opposed to if we just did DPS, we wouldn't have won because no one would have capped our nodes. We have free caps.
Yeah, for sure not.
They went full DPS. So this is actually a perfect example because they didn't even send anyone to cap. God, man, it's so hard being right all the time. You might wonder if I would get...
Do you ever get tired of it?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be so intelligent and good looking, right?
I am now, yeah, thanks.
Okay, 10 seconds. Where can I leave? 4, 5...
6 seconds. You can
now
leave.
I can leave.
Well, you can work out the range if you want to. So what I do with like rifle shot is what, 15 meters? What is it, 30 meters? Yeah, 30 meters. So I can be 30 meters from this at 6 seconds, and then I can start running. So I can just rifle shot them at 6 seconds.
Easy objective win.
Gotta check in a quick. You're welcome, boys.
Oh, my DPS was very bad.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot of damage. 14 fucking million. Jesus Christ. That guy was wanking his fucking rifle, wasn't he? Fuck me.
Lots of damage. He was on our team, yeah? So was the top 2 guy.
Oh, get some tips off them.
Yeah, hey, maybe I should. The first tip is like take 3 million damage. It's pretty good.
You broke 10k though, so well done. I didn't break 10k.
Yeah, 10k is pretty good considering it was doing objectives.
I did 3.6. So clearly your contribution to the match was greater than me, the person who won the game.
How many objectives did you have?
Oh, I don't look at the objectives, so they don't necessarily represent anything, do they?
Yeah, the count is very weird. Like in Huttball, you just pass the ball around and you get 30k points, even though your passes are completely like you can pass backwards and get points.
Can you drop Q for a second?
Yeah, sure.
We have a hatred sin.
Ooh, a hatred sin. Is this going to be better or worse now for us?
Well, it's a good player, so probably better, I would guess.
Okay, well, that's cute.
Would be my idea.
Now we're going to go up against Premades. And we don't have a tank in the pocket today.
We're facing Premades anyway, right? So
that's true. Although I think last game, yeah, we were 2 men. And we had another, at least 2 men.
2 men.
It's probably 2 plus 2 versus 4.
Brothers versus the enemy. Who will win? One clicky boy, one spammy boy.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, like the one time I went to stall there were 2 people at the node. It is fucking global.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unfortunate when that happens.
So I think that's a really good example of a nice blend of DPS and objectives.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Ideally, it wouldn't have been you coming back to help me. Ideally, it would have been someone who isn't doing, like, who's not a DPS specific class. Like PTs you bring for DPS, right? That's what they do.
Yeah, sure.
So, you know, if there was like someone else who could have come back to cap that or gone to the as the capper, then that would have been ideal. But yeah. God. Huttball will be fun. Do you know how to fire pull?
I have some experience.
Yeah, against me, prick.
I did? I don't know.
That fucking starless pre-made. I talked about this quite a lot because it's really funny how they do it, right? It starts off when they're playing with whatever. They queue against me a couple of times and they start changing comp. And I had like one game where they were all Sorks and PTs. It was like there was 2 Sorks, 2 PTs, and I was playing Huttball. I was getting fucking ping-ponged across the fucking map. It was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. You have like multiple PTs on the enemy team. You just get pulled around all over the place.
PT is so strong in Huttball. It's a joke. Yeah. Honest to God. The best thing about PT is people don't even think they're good at Huttball. Like you mention it to them, they're like, no, not PT. PT or Sin Tank is the best. By what those be 1 and 2. You can argue which one's 1 and which one's 2. Then Sork. I don't think there's any kind of debate really around that. Like that, those are the top 3.
I think most people would say operatives just because of the desync and the rolling.
People say operatives because of roll. Like I've talked about this quite a lot, right? So you see if you can see if you agree with my theory or not. So I think that operative is one of the most hated classes in the game, especially with things like roll, more so than Sin, because operative is more control than Sin. when you're on an off node defending and an operative turns up and butt fucks you, that's a very personal experience, right? That's you getting 1v1 by a person or CC'd and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
When you try to do things, the way that operative plays is like by not letting you do those things. So it's quite frustrating as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in a situation where you're getting beaten down and frustrated. So you just fucking hate playing against the class. Now, that doesn't mean the class is OP. It just means it's a horrible class to play against in that circumstance, which I completely agree with. But you have to bear in mind, right? At the time, people were crying about operative knockdown with the back in like the OG, like vanilla, with the knockdown on hidden strike, and backstab reset and that kind of stuff. Smash existed at that point in time, right?
Yep.
Now, Smash did more damage on every 8 seconds to everyone in 8 meters. And no one cared about that because you're just in a pile up, getting like cleaved down. So it's very unpersonal. It's like the difference between like a sniper shot and a fucking nuclear bomb going off.
I mean, that was in the game for years until they nerfed it finally.
Yeah. People were complaining about Operative more than Maras. It was only in the ranked scene that people were complaining about Maras. Everyone else is like, oh yeah, that's probably OP, but like we don't really care that much.
Yeah. I mean, I guess people don't like being CC'd to death, you know? That's something about it. If you're like stun locked, you can't really do anything. I mean, you can do some things, but...
Yeah, you can press breaker. There's loads of ways out of it, but
yeah,
I agree that the knockdown on hidden strike was too much because you would literally 100-0 someone and there was fuck all they could do about it.
Yeah,
which is obviously not good. But you could do that every 2 minutes, whereas Smash did it every 20 seconds. Like
yeah,
you put 3 smashes across, you did 90% of a team's health. You know, it's like. It's the most OP thing I think I've seen in any game.
Yeah, Smash was quite ridiculous. I mean, and everyone was playing it at the time, just simply because of the AOE and because it was a meta spec, right? Everyone played it. But Carnage was with the Gore Master Strike or Ravage combo.
Yeah, very good.
Could actually one shot someone, right? And no one really played it because like
Smash was
OP and easier to play. So you only needed to push those 2 buttons, and you have that AoE auto crit, right?
Yeah, guess what spec the Maras played in Reality Check?
Nah, I guess Smash.
Carnage.
Carnage, of course.
Carnage Maras.
I mean, for 8s, it was also good, right? If you like had a proper focus train going.
No, if people just played whatever they wanted in that guild, we just made it work. It was more like I remember it was in the Navari coast against Nostrum, and I was defending east, so I'm like trying to like angle my camera so I can see what's going on. And we're about 30 seconds into the game, and I just see everyone's health, everyone's bar just like gets deleted. Like, what the fuck was that? It's like a nuclear bomb went off. It's just like people on like TeamSpeak back in them days, isn't it? 1, 2, 3 smash, triple smash going off, or quad smash going off. Yeah. Everyone gets deleted. And then you got fucking cats stressing out. I can't heal this damage. It's fucking good times.
I think people nowadays don't understand how much damage that was, right? It would be like Smash nowadays hitting for like 130k basically.
Yeah, it would be about 130k every 8 seconds, and it's a guaranteed 130k.
Yeah,
it's not like sometimes 30k because it was a guaranteed crit. They put all their stats into power. So there was like 0 crit, all power.
Yeah, back then there was no critical rating going on Surge and so on.
Yeah, you had Surge, but people just took power because that was a bigger amount.
Yeah.
Plus auto crit to bypass mitigation. Is that how auto crit works? I don't think auto crit bypasses mitigation anymore.
No, it doesn't. No,
it doesn't now because I do my backstabbing to people and it doesn't do that much damage sometimes.
I think they changed it at some point so that you can shield crits. I think that was a change they made when I took a break, and then I read about that. I was like, what? Because
sorry.
No, all good. No, you go.
I think the worst change they did was the the radius in which you can hit people, because it used to be 180, like 180 degrees.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to 270. And now with like desync and shit, it's basically impossible to get behind people.
Yeah.
So I used to do that like all the fucking time. I would just be unhittable because I would just position myself well.
Exactly. But nowadays I don't even bother. It's like this.
Dude, even when I root someone with crippling slice, so they can't even turn, I'm behind them getting fucking force lightning on me. What the fuck is this? It's like hand over the shoulder, shooting force lightning into me.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be a thing. Like on Deception, I played a lot of Deception back in the day.
Yeah.
You needed to get that you
had to get there.
180 degrees. Otherwise, your maul
Didn't work.
exactly couldn't even use it. So now it is like some damage boost, but you get your proc anyway. You only want to use it with a proc, and then they made it so easy. Now you can use it like from the front as well. Do full damage.
It's like fucking killed advert. Did you read this? Evil company, don't be passive aggressive, be active defensive. We are looking for the most dedicated people with anime profile pictures. Ultra anime waifu pillow, so hard a lifesaver might get jealous. Join us.
Yeah, they have the best adverts. Yeah.
That's pretty funny. Are they actually called active defense? Or evil company? Sorry, no, evil company.
No, that's Beo's Guild, I think. Yeah.
I have no idea what that is.
Oh, that's the guy that was on my first podcast.
You have to accept my apologies. I haven't watched any of them.
Yeah, no worries.
I skipped through the Cease one because Cease often says some things I'm unaware of.
Yeah.
I like Cease, right? I'm always mean about Cease because I find him so fucking boring. It's ridiculous. He puts me to sleep just listening to him. But he's an important part of the fucking community. He does a lot of good work. I always feel like a bit of a tit because I'm really mean all the fucking time. I find him so fucking boring. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, his voice is like has that tone to it. Like I think if you
it drives me insane listening to him talk, honest to God. So I saw you had a section on Phantom GCDs and I wanted to see if he'd worked it out. So I went to look at that bit.
Yeah, that's why I put the timestamps in.
Yeah. I saw a lot of complaints about this like the podcast is too long. Like just don't fucking watch it. Like just watch it for an hour if you want. Like you haven't got to. It seems like a really weird criticism that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like watching long podcasts, right? Like something I have nothing to do. I'm in the car or something or whatever.
Yeah, but you just don't have to listen to it all. Like you can just listen to an hour.
Yeah, but then you might miss something. You might miss out, right?
Yeah, but then watch it again. Like it's like having 3 podcasts if you like. If you release that in 3 installments, how is that better?
Yeah.
I think people are just fucking idiots when it comes to content and stuff. Oh, I tell you what I will discuss with you actually, because I thought about this when I was on a P earlier and then forgot because my memory is shocking. I had ideas for like different types of URCs you can do. So if you're looking to do tournaments, you can go crazy with them, right? You can do whatever the fuck you want. So I know I did a best in class one where it was all like class v class brackets.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was EU versus NA, and then they had a matchup at the end of it for like the best in class tournament. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
There was like World War as well, which is going to be EU versus NA in terms of the brackets. That was also a good idea. I like that a lot. You can really do whatever you want, right? So one thing I would have loved to have done, which probably wouldn't have taken off, but I would have liked to have done is like a content creator one.
Yeah, that could be fun. Yeah, kind of like they do with the boxing, right? I had an idea of some kind of grudge matches, right? Like, because in the UFC, like the fun thing, and it's the same with the arm wrestling. Like before the match, they always do like the trash talking, and they spend months promoting the match, right? And I think like in this game, there's a lot of people that have beef with someone, right?
I would have loved to do that. Yeah. So the one thing I wanted to do was have a Discord for everyone to be on, like in the waiting room, just so they can shit talk each other between games, and we can like dip in to see who's saying what.
Yeah.
But I think if you have a smaller tournament, right? So if you're doing like a grudge match one, so there's a smaller amount of people, you could absolutely do that. You could have like people on mic before the game or before the event, like hyping it up and talking shit. That would be amazing.
That'd be fun.
I'd love that. I'd love that.
I think a lot of people are too shy for that, honestly. Like they're, they're like big balls in general chat when they flame, and then as soon as they get in the mic, they're like,
Yeah, but also like with those grudge match things, why would you take part, right? Because the odds are, well, not the odds are, there's a chance you'll lose, right? So do you really want to have your loss like publicized? Do you want people to watch you lose? Do you know what I mean? Why would you take part in that? You can just win in games and declare yourself the winner through whatever you want.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing, right?
Yeah,
that's fucking boring.
You've got to kind of work with what is physically possible. You know, like if people are willing to do that, I think that's brilliant. I genuinely do. You know, get people who have rivalries, get them together and get them to duel. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah.
But I don't think people will.
I tried doing something like that. Like I have some people that played me in the past, and I tried like, hey, I'm doing a dueling tournament. Do you wanna like 1v1 on stream? And they were always like, no, blah 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 blah.
Have you ever seen me dueling 1v1 on stream?
I don't think so.
I have the best tactic when it comes to dueling on stream, dude. It's fucking brilliant.
What is it?
Okay, so what I do is I invite them to a stronghold, and then I just don't go there. And then when they're like, "Oh, where are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong stronghold." I invite them to another stronghold.
Yeah.
And I do that for as long as I fucking physically can. I basically I stall them by a stronghold kiting. Then I duel them, and when the duel starts, like I kind of play normally. But then if things are looking a bit dicey, I just kick them from my stronghold. So it says I won the duel, and then I screenshot that, and then I send it to them. And I'm just like, well, I've got proof that I beat you in a duel. What have you got? People go fucking insane over it.
Oh, I'm getting shafted here, man. Popped all my cooldowns. Where's my guard? Oh, I have the ball. Pass.
Yeah, just pass to me.
I can't. Ugh.
Oh, okay.
I think we don't have a tank here. That might be a rough one. Respawning.
I'm here with the ball. You can pass to me, buddy.
I'm dead. Talking to that guy. Yeah, I'll try to get some fire pulsed in, maybe.
So much. Oh, there's a guy on the line. Never mind.
Create a numerical advantage by fire. Yeah, the problem is we are getting wiped in mid. Maybe I can pull the tank into fire. Nope, cannot.
This guy just fucking. Oh my god, that is. Oh my fucking god. All right. Deep breaths, Snave. Deep breaths.
Okay, fire pulled a guy already bubbled because he's a sage.
Is there a route on your pull?
Yep.
Okay. You should be fine then. Otherwise, you want to do pull and carb at the same time.
Yeah, I did, but yeah, he's a sage, so. I'm gonna need some heals on mid here.
I'm so good at Huttball. It's terrifying sometimes.
I'm gonna nade. Nade for the ball.
Yeah, go.
Did it. Nice, we have it. Oh, dead again. Fucking hell, man, they're killing me.
This guy needs to do something. All right, here we go.
Okay, try to fire pull someone again. Where's the sage that barriered already? This guy.
All right, reset.
Yep, think I can get it. Yep, have it.
Can you imagine 2 games in a row, right, where the DPS strategy isn't working, and it gets replaced by a objective strategy which does work?
They're killing me, yeah?
Yeah, just pass to me if you want to.
Trying. Oh, just in time.
Beautiful.
I mean, easy win, to be honest. Look at those fucking damage farmers.
Bit of Snave tank in there. No, like it.
Oh, 5-0, easy win. Okay, one more. Oh, we have the ball. Oh, free as fuck. One more fire pull. I cannot see target. Ah. Easy. So this is how you do it, yeah?
Yeah. Honestly, they could have done a lot better there if they just stayed at mid. And
oh, look at the objectives. Did you see who has top objectives for some reason?
Was it you?
It was me.
I'm proud of you, buddy. Well done. Well done.
How did that happen? I scored 0 goals.
2 us up, man. I'm going for a week.
Yeah, I do one more.
All right. So, to give you some PT specific tips for Huttball.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. With when a guy dies with a ball, it goes to the next nearest person. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you fire pull someone, and you run towards wherever they are going. So let's say that in Huttball, they get the ball at mid, and you fire pull them to their fire pit.
Mm-hmm.
If you then run towards the goal, because you're the nearest person, it'll then effectively pass the ball to you.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So you get a free, like, 10 meters pass. You haven't got to wait for them to die.
Yeah. What's the range
also,
what's the range on that, actually?
I do not know the exact range for it. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, me neither.
The other thing is, leap always intercepts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if someone passes, yeah.
Yeah, so you have leap and pull and any CC to stop that. So with that strategy there, the reason I don't like the on-the-line strategy is because you can stop it so easily for that for those mechanics. I will always, I'll try to save hollow or grenade so that I can, at range intercept the ball or stop the pass. If you see someone on the line doing that strat, you just wait for them to unstealth and press pull or press leap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then you stop that or press CC and it's done. So it's so easy to counter that strat. I really hate it. But because people just don't play objectives anymore, it works super effectively. That's how it works, right? Because no one is counterplaying it. No one is spending the effort to do it. So, yeah.
Yeah, with the pull, the counter pulls, it's actually interesting. Then I watched some of the old what's that guy's name? I always forget it. Daily PvP, I think. Yeah, Daily PvP.
He's my best friend.
The guy is a legend. I love those videos. And shame he only has I don't know, whatever, it's 100 videos. But those Huttball games, quite interesting, where they have a shadow tank holding the ball in the end somewhere, so it doesn't get pulled in the fucking middle below.
Operatives used to have crouch as well.
Oh, true, for the cover, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
There was a lot of interesting things in Huttball back in the day. The leap one was a big one. You couldn't pass. I really like the CC to stop passes being successful. I think that is brilliant in terms of changes for Huttball. But you could have fixed the Huttball meta became who had the best macro and the lowest latency, because people would just use macros to right click the ball when it came out. That was like the cheating controversy in Huttball back in H days.
Yeah. With the click macros.
Yeah, they really could have fixed that quite easily by having two spawn points just spaced out. If in the middle of that map, right? If you had two that were separate by a couple of meters, you can't click both at the same time.
For the ball, you mean? Yeah, sure.
It means the macro thing. It means there's more kind of scrambles when it comes to getting the ball, or having some kind of massive pulse that causes a knockback on the respawn. So you that's not kind of you can't be immune to it no matter what it is. So you can't entrench yourself to get the ball just to stop the macro clicking, because it literally that was the entire meta for Huttball, was who could do the macro clicking the better.
Yeah, because once you had the ball, it was really hard to get it back, right?
Yeah.
Unless you get a fire pull, people wouldn't even chase.
You had a lot longer carrying the ball as well. But even with fire pull, you have friendly pull to get you out of that as well.
Sure.
That happened a fair bit. Can I tell you my favorite meta in this game?
Yeah.
Was the team ranked meta in NA was who could DDoS the enemy team.
Who could DDoS?
This is back before Discord days, right? So people would use Skype and shit. And I don't know if you know this or not, but you could get your IP from Skype.
Yeah.
There was a huge issue with that. So what would happen is they would try every way possible to get the enemy team's IP. And then as soon as the game started, they would DDoS them. They would disconnect and then they'd win.
Yeah, imagine doing that.
That's not a joke. That is genuinely what they did.
Yeah, no. I mean, I heard about it in some other games, maybe were a bit more competitive, or where there was, money on the line, in League of Legends or something, or some streamers, people want to piss them off and get their IP. And it was usually through some application that leaked it.
But I had to change Skype, so it was only on my phone, and I had to turn off my Wi-Fi when I was using it.
Yeah. Is it an issue at all for the streaming right now, or do you have any haters right now that try to DDoS you when you stream?
Oh no, you can't get my IP easily these days. Right? You know what I mean? It's that doesn't exist anymore. People are a lot more secure with that kind of stuff. But yeah, people were absolutely trying to do that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know this because they've told me. It's one of these things again where I always say I'm generally right over time, because what I was saying about there was people lining up to stream snipe and throw and that kind of stuff. And was no, you just shit. And then I found this Russian forums. That's what my character is called, Snaves, because that's what they would call me on there. Where they were literally they were literally trying to arrange times they could get together to do this kind of shit. And I was like, what the fuck?
Snave.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Oh, you're just full of shit." That's why I've got the conspiracy theory fucking hat things. I used to say this stuff all the time, and people were like, "No, man, you're just bad." I was like, "No, I literally have proof." People don't care though, so it's quite funny when looking back at it. I tell you the thing that's funny is the people who outside of daily PvP, the people who I didn't get along with the most, I'm actually quite tidy with now. Like Fake Snave was one, Gibbs is another one. Gibbs was fucking doxing me continuously.
Okay.
It was wild. It happened so much, dude.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I was harassed. Like I didn't complain about it as much as other people did, quite frankly. But yeah, the shit they did was pretty fucking bad. Pretty bad. Like I had to change phone numbers because like someone got my phone number.
Yeah, I mean, there's some disturbed individuals for sure. Like, I received a couple of threats on this game already for just PvP.
Yeah. I've had loads of death threats.
It's a fucking video game, man. What the fuck are you on about? No, it's some people, they cannot handle loss, I guess.
I've only given one death threat, I think. That's it for my sins. But yeah, it's wild because like back in those days, because you're looking like 10 years ago, right? The internet was a different place then. You know what I mean? So you didn't have as much protection. People would like try and stalk you on Facebook and that kind of shit to like find out who you were and you know, harass your family and stuff. Fucking terror. It was wild. It was fun though.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Yeah.
Well, I prefer that to how it is now, like where everything is policed religiously. I don't like that. It's too sanitized now. Like the internet should be free and you should be able to do whatever you want. Now you say one dumb thing ever in the entirety of your life,
and you get banned from Twitch.
Yeah, you get banned from it. To be fair, right? My ban on Twitch was well deserved. Do you know what I mean? I'm not complaining about that. I'm just saying, you know, you have a person who's been a streamer for like 10 years, who's a big streamer, and then something comes out where, oh, they said the N word 15 years ago. I think they got to go on an apology tour and fucking, you know, they lose all their sponsorships and all that type of shit. Like, fucking chill out, man. Come on. There's one thing from 15 years ago. Like, just get some fucking perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, people seem to be quite butthurt nowadays over, you know, words and stuff.
Is you've weaponized it, right? This is I remember talking about this at the time. When you know that you can get people banned for certain things, you basically turn your watchers or you turn your audience overall, right? So like Twitch overall, into radars for this type of behavior, where anything that can be interpreted in any way is going to get reported by people. If you're a popular streamer, then there's going to be a certain percentage that will dislike you and will like hate watch you, and then try to get you banned and try to get you punished and that kind of stuff. So they will literally just watch you, waiting for you to say something which can be taken in a certain way, and then try to take it out of context. Or you've basically weaponized chat. Oh, it's a whale lad, Mickey.
You form Reaper Squad. The battlefield contains 3 air defense artillery turrets.
Yeah, look at this. A lot of players coming back to the game now. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know what's caused that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Like, I had a couple of like solo ranked streams, like easy mode streaming again the last day.
Yeah,
I think he got banned as well.
Yeah, I think he got banned for repeating something that someone said to him. Like, it's one of those things, right?
It's the Joe Rogan thing. Yeah.
Especially with PvP, right? Because you're beating people. So
yeah.
Because when I got banned, I didn't know why I was banned. I still don't really know why. And there was a guy at the time, an Italian player, who had been thrown against me in ranked games. So I had reported him and he got like season locked. So when I got banned, he was bragging on the forum that he'd been making different Twitch accounts to like mass report me for different things. So like that kind of shit goes on like all the fucking time. Like you gotta, what the fuck happened there? You gotta bear in mind, you have no idea how like weird people are. I got 3 snow.
Yeah, there's also 3 at grass and no one at mid. What the hell is happening here?
So cap mid if there's no one there.
This is like the weirdest Warzone. No, sorry, I'm already at grass. There's actually just no one mid. I've never seen this in my life. There's no one from the enemy either. Where's everyone? What the fuck?
I'm gonna need someone to drop the mid ASAP.
They have only stealthers. 1, 2, 3.
Lab, can you get mid? Can you like vanish out and just go and camp mid?
Are we playing against the Snave fanboys, or why is everyone playing Operative here?
No, it's these aren't all stealthers here.
We have 3 stealthers over here, but they're dying.
Yeah, but we have a free camp mid, and if we camp mid, then fuck's sake.
Okay, I think we have grass now. Through superior firepower. Where should I go? Should I go mid? I'll help you.
All right. I have 3 here, so if you want to get some DPS, you can come here. Or
Trying to help you, yeah, on my way.
Stabilize mid, I don't know.
Well, mid is...
Oh, dude, I miss flashbang so much.
Yeah, I don't miss it, to be honest, because I was mostly on the receiving end. Oh, this guy's dying.
There we go.
Look, one shot this guy. Ooh, there's 4 of them. That's bad. I cannot kill 4.
All right, we should be fine. Well, we've got 2 now, so we win with just defense, so we don't need to go anywhere.
Okay, I will stall them, I will stall them.
Where are you?
I'm stalling a snow.
Snow. Yeah, perfect.
I might kill this guy. Oh, he died. Oh, vanished. Stalling this guy, stalling this
I
guy.
don't know where the enemy team is. The fuck are they?
I don't know what they're doing, to be honest.
There was a Finnish 8-man team on Toffen that played like this. They had loads of assassins.
Yeah.
And they would all they would get it would be exactly like this. You wouldn't know where the fuck they were, and then all of a sudden like loads of them would pop up in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yeah, I'm dead here now. Yeah, that sounds like Finnish tactics. Lying somewhere on snow and then suddenly popping up.
Yeah. They were fun to play against because you never know what the fuck you were gonna like. What's gonna happen here, right?
What guild was that? I never heard about them.
There was a guy called Fluffy Kitten. I think that was the.
Yeah, doesn't ring a bell. Should I try to distract them? Oh no, they're fighting. I thought maybe I can distract them. You can cap behind them.
Fluffy Furball, was it? I can look his name up because I know he's in. I made like a really dramatic promo video for the server transfers because that was really the best time in this fucking game's history for PvP, when they opened up server transfers to Toffen, and everyone moved to Toffen for PvP. And I did like an intro where they were all shit talking the guild from the Red Eclipse, so it's all like fucking dramatic music and then zooming in on fucking text. Oh, we lost ours. What the fuck?
Oh, he called Ink. I guess no one was helping him.
Yeah, but he called Ink like as he got capped, didn't he? I didn't see the call. Are we gonna camp this one anyway? I think.
Interrupted me. Fuck.
Yeah, we've got this. I'll defend this now. Yeah. Just go mid if you want.
Right, yeah, mid looks like we might be losing it. Only one guy.
Yeah, this Zerg thing doesn't work.
Yeah, our team is randomly running around and fighting on 3 nodes. This is the shit I hate. Like fight on 2 of them.
One person, like so Mickey, what he's doing over there kind of makes sense, right? Because he's gonna try and pressure that node to pull numbers across. But generally speaking, and he's got a decent chance of camping it as well. But yeah, generally speaking, you should focus mid.
Yeah, I mean, if we already have 2 of them, we don't need to defend 2. It's fine. Okay, yeah. But they're dying into us now. Looks like it's an easy win.
Oh, do you want me to show you my... I can't really defend this anymore, right? Here anymore, because the camp time is... Oh, fuck.
Oh.
I'm almost going to lose this node because I'm trying to show you something. This is why I can't do it anymore. There we go. Never mind, I got it anyway. No, I got a guy here. I'm just going to tie him up. Oh, never mind. I got help now, so we'll just kill him.
Yeah, there's no one in mid saw me as well. Oh, vanished. Zapped me. Fuck this guy.
Oh, there we go. See, Mickey, how we lad? ABC, Mickey cap in there. And I'm guessing the person he's against isn't dead either. Or is he dead? He must be dead. Mickey's a 1v1 legend. 1 grass.
Oh, I wanted to ask you that actually. Like, who's the best 1v1er you ever seen? Like in terms of duelist tournaments.
It would depend on the class, I guess, right? Like,
So some
I know
operative.
there's people who played like lots of different classes and stuff. So you know they would probably be the best overall, you know, duelist because they played so many classes. But like class by class, the duelist that I liked the most was Bernera. I just liked watching him play because he was very, very aggressive on operative. Cat was probably the best operative duelist. I'm not sure what the numbers say on. No, Alim was also very good as well on operative duels. Zerio on Mara was always great. The stuff that he did on Mara was like he did confusing damage, is what I always call it. Like you don't understand why he hits harder than everyone else. Like you'd see Mara's dueling, and you know you get a gauge for like how much the health drops and that kind of shit. The amount of fucking just nuclear warheads that man dropped that no one else seemed capable of doing was always just very confusing to me. I don't know what buttons he pressed or how or what he did, but Zerio was always a good time to watch.
That was the Marauder guy, right?
Yeah, he was great at Mara, to be fair. I always liked his fights. My memory for names is goddamn awful, to be honest with you, so I would be hard-pressed to tell you any genuine answer to that has any kind of weight to it.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many. You did like 20 URCs alone, I think, right?
It's around, I don't know, man. I've lost a couple, because when I was banned on Twitch, there was some I hadn't backed up, so I don't know how many. Harbinger Guild. Yes, that's the one, Neffy. Yeah. Fuck it. How did I not get him in combat? Jesus, this is what happened when I fan you around. I have brought shame to my stream. There is an operative here as well. Oh, there he is. To be fair, we've 3 capped, so I've kind of taken the foot off the gas a little bit. I think that guy just left the game. That was a weird vanish. Oh, rip me.
The operative is still here, I think, bound tried to cap. Yep, Sepp B.
Yeah, if there's someone there, right, the way that you always get operatives out is just by spam capping. If there's like 3 players there, don't spam AoE, spread out around the node and spam cap, because it's difficult to interrupt.
So annoying when people don't do that.
If you get white barred, don't run away.
Yeah. Just cap, click the fucking thing. I mean, it's not that hard. Oh, that's a YouTube video.
Well done.
I kept the note.
One second. If it's going to be for a video.
Round of applause. There's still a fireworks here. I get the bow. Amazing. This is the best day of my PvP career. Don't I have fireworks? Where are my fucking fireworks here? Like they give you 10,000 of these fireworks for playing the game. You must select one of the rewards. My screen is bugged. I don't even see my damage.
You were damaged. Let's have a look. Mine is as well. Hang on.
I did 7k. That's embarrassing. But at least better than the other guys.
Well, to be fair, that was a weird one in terms of how it was played out, right? Like you were top damage, and I think when everyone's spread out like that. What was the enemy team's comp then? Were they all Sins? No, they weren't.
They had a lot of Sins and operatives, actually.
Operative, I can't even tell the logos anymore.
They had a Shadow, a Sin tank, at least 2 operatives.
Five stealthers.
Yeah, very weird comp. All right, man, I'm gonna head off to bed. Well, that was fun.
Imagine. Yeah, it was, and I'm glad you got to appreciate the difference between objective play and just DPS games.
Yeah, I learned something today. Thank you for that.
I look forward to your next video. I was wrong.
I was wrong. Snave was right. I will title it like this, just for you, for being so kind to
give
me.
You can use that Hypergate and the Huttball to show how you beat a game with superior DPS.
Yeah, no worry. I will edit it out. I will edit everything down to look like I was right in the end. That's the YouTube thing, right?
All right, buddy. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Take it easy. All right.